Being 7 o'clock, we will open the meeting of June 6th, 2017. Y'all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
That's the old hand.
Call the roll. Steve. You here?
I'm here.
I don't know. Greg.
You weren't sure for a second there.
Bob.
Bob, I'm curious.
Dennis. Sam.
Yes.
Roy.
Yep.
Tim.
Here.
And I'm here.
You can just text me, he'll be here in 5.
Yep. Yeah, he's late. Okay. Minutes from 5-2. Everybody read them? Motion,
Need a motion to accept?
Second.
made and seconded. Discussion. No discussion. Call for vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Got the financial from the Sager. Oh, we don't have that.
That's the only thing.
Oh, I got it there.
Okay.
Oh, you got to put it in.
It's just the,
That's,
Morris bid.
yeah, but you've got 100.
For a brief second. Mr. Chairman? Interrupt for brief. Steve, did you bring in a letter from that gentleman we saw in the office the other day, somebody's office? Good, okay, thank you.
It's in your packet.
I haven't got that far yet.
I'm looking at the minutes. I'm looking at the minutes, not the agenda.
I know. Morse bid. I'm still disturbed that this is $6,874.25. That's been held for years, and there has been no interest on it. I always thought that there had to be interest. I would, he was here.
Maybe I had the something looking at that.
Yeah, yeah. That's something that you can take up with,
Morris bid?
yeah. Why there's no interest. Unsatisfactory conditions. We have a letter which everybody's read. From LBWD. I move that we remove that condition and met.
Second?
Discussion. All those in favor? Motion passes. Tim, are you presenting John Parsons?
Beg your pardon?
Are you presenting John Parsons? Yes, I mean,
No, he was supposed to come and look at it for me himself.
okay. New business. Case number 17-3, special permit. Continued from May 16th, value point of
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt, but was I supposed to speak then? I'm
Yes,
John
sir.
Pearson. Is this my
Yes, sir.
chance?
Stand up and speak, please.
Let's step back.
Yeah, so thanks for agreeing to have me into the schedule today. I'm looking at the parcel on Route 16, it's lots 20, 21, 22. I have an accepted offer in to buy. And I just wanted to get an idea. I've looked briefly in the time period I've had at the zoning and so forth. It's the roadside highway zoning, or roadside commercial, I guess. So there's a garage there, there's machine shops, there's an existing self-storage facility, there's a little apartment, there's a potential retail space, the deli, and then there's an empty lot. So it's a mixed use, quite a bit going on there. With the self-storage piece in particular, it's with the front of the building currently empty. If it's not retail, we could expand into that piece, and then there's quite a bit of open space there. So I was just interested in any potential restrictions for use based on the lot zoning.
What were you talking about exactly? The lots that
Right
we
down,
need to go.
right down there by the restaurant, across from Deer Cap.
Across from Deer Cap.
Thank you. You give lots, you didn't give an address.
1,300, give or take?
And there's, you know, there's a lot of lots in this town.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, it's 1,300, 1,312, 1,320, give or take.
That was right off 16 then.
Yeah, right on the highway. Yep. The little restaurant's been open for about a year, I think. It's been some different uses. There was RV guy at one time and different things.
Do you now own the place that was the RV repair place?
I'm sorry?
You now own the place that was the RV repair? Is that your-
No, I don't own any of this yet, so I just haven't accepted the offer. So it's for those three parcels. So I'm just describing what was there. The past use, current use, again, is just really the self-storage, the little restaurant, and then machine shop and apartment in the back with a garage, so.
Where's that location?
Oh, you still have the retail in the front, it's still available.
Correct.
That can, without, if you go to storage in that section, you'll have to come back in because that was used as retail.
Mhm.
You'd have to have a site plan.
Okay.
Change of use.
Yeah, it's a change of use. Now, what do you have for plans for the fenced-in area?
Good question. So that would potentially be another site for self-storage, an additional building there. If it was something as simple as a company like Fairpoint that was parking equipment there previously, that would probably be fine too. But I think our plan at this point might be to add an additional building for storage.
That you would have to come in, a site plan on that,
Right.
because that would be, even though they were storage, it is not the same. It's that was a private storage. You're going for public storage.
Right.
So that would be a change of the use, which you could do when you did your retail.
Right. So essentially, it's within the zoning, but you just come back for the plan review before the board, and I've seen the document preparation and so forth.
Have you seen the site plan review regulations themselves to see how they might pertain to your project?
I did look through that, yeah. Again,
So-
haven't really had time to go in detail, but yes, so could go through that. What would you say the typical timeline is on something like that? Someone coming in, if they've got, well organized?
Well, you're well organized. It's 21 days prior to the meeting. Laura can give you the dates that you have to have that in so that you can notify the abutters and
Yes.
have your meeting.
Okay.
And if it's straightforward, right down the line, we can approve it that night.
Okay, great.
You got 30 days they can appeal.
Then you have 30 days afterwards that there is an appeal.
For the abutters, essentially.
Yeah, you can start, but if they appeal it, you'll have to stop.
Right.
It doesn't happen often, but it is possible.
Okay. The plans themselves, I mean, it would be a professional package, I guess, but I didn't really see like real specific guidelines on that, so as long as it's clear, I assume.
Well, there's a checklist of requirements that goes along with the site plan review regulations.
Right.
It will tell you how many copies of what size and what scale is
Okay,
going to be
perfect.
needed, et cetera.
Do you know if there ever was a site plan done on that?
I don't.
You should probably go down. Well, you've got 3 separate parcels.
Correct.
Now, the site plan was done on Fair Points,
Yep.
so that would be recorded. But whether the garage and the storages were ever recorded, I can't tell you.
Okay.
You could find that out through your deeds.
Mhm.
You might think at the same time of combining all 3 parcels. That's up to you. That's a thought.
I can see that might simplify things. What is the other advantage?
Advantage of taxes.
Ah,
The disadvantage is if you want to sell one piece, not the rest of it, you'd have to
Yeah.
subdivide it again. It'd be
right.
another then you'd be another site plan because you're subdividing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good, thank you. That's interesting. I hadn't considered that one.
Yeah, as a word of caution, if you come in with what you think is a fully complete package and we find that there's something missing or incorrect
Sure.
or whatever, it can be continued to the next meeting or a further meeting. So it's not necessarily a same-day service.
Right, okay.
Although this does not sound like a complex project.
No, I don't think so. Any particular restrictions outside, vehicles outside, boats? I mean, obviously, I've seen a lot of that in the area, but,
No,
okay.
I mean, Steve would be able to tell you more on that than what the capacity is, storage, et cetera.
Right, we can look at the total, space versus the building size and so forth.
But you
It
wanna
too
work with the
depends
zoning
on what-
officer, too.
Yes, we have,
It would depend too on what you did with your front section. Your restaurant has gotta have X amount for space makes that, plus your
Parking.
parking
right.
is
Disabilities.
based on the size of the building and the capacity of the building.
And lot coverage.
Lot coverage too.
Well, the lots are all
Plus pre-existing restaurant.
pre-existing, so he doesn't have to worry about that.
Right.
But it would all depend on what you did with your front section, where the storage is, where Kevin had his discount.
Mm-hmm, right. And I haven't, measured the setbacks there. I assume that's probably fine.
Yeah, your setbacks
Okay.
should be 10 foot on there, I believe.
Certainly that much. Okay, good.
And the state required them to put those barriers in, ones that are in front of the restaurant,
Okay,
so.
good. All right, thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Sure.
I guess you're up, Jim. Right. You wanna pass those to Peter?
Good evening, folks.
Good evening.
James is with me here this evening.
Back up, huh?
Yes, as a result of severe allergies, seasonal allergies, and a recent series of public speaking engagements, my voice is beginning to fail me. So,
Mark, you can't not,
I can't not, what?
you can't imitate me.
Oh, no.
Can't use that for an excuse, he's already got it.
I hope that, you didn't think that I would be. Okay. Adjusted.
Want to borrow my hard
Off
hat?
to a good start, huh?
I'll loan you my hard hat, get one in the truck.
Good.
Hope you got a magnifying glass.
Or we'll just have you read it all, Mark.
Yeah, I could do that.
Binoculars.
Again.
Well, the fact of the matter is, the site plan itself has not changed from what you first saw in January. Okay? Same hard surface, same parking, same driveway locations, same size building. But over the course of the last 3 weeks since I was here last, our own internal review picked up a couple of items. Certification. It's been amended to add the wording found at your code section 6044B. Also, as a result of our internal peer checking, these deep sump catch basins, they can't be online. In other words, you can't connect one to the next to the next. It's the way that they're built. You want to limit the flow through. It's an inlet here at the surface, and then there's a hooded outlet. You don't want flow through that. You want the level of the water in the basin to rise and stay at that elevation. So if there is any spill that gets in there, it's always floating and can't go out through the hooded outlet. Previously, I had shown them connected. And what that would do was would cause agitation as the flows went through deep sump catch basins. Solve that by providing two pipe connections here and here. Now the deep sump catch basins are offline. In response to Tim's question 3 weeks ago, I was too quick in my answer. Of course, drainage structures can be sealed. And they're sealed from the outside, not on the inside, as I thought might be the case. The reason is petroleum products will eat through an asphalt product or a polymer product. So we've added to the specifications right here, precast drainage structures, exteriors coated with bay oil ebony polymer type waterproofing or equivalent. At the recommendation of our underground storage tank professional, we've extended the concrete pad at the delivery station to go over the oil and water separator. Once again, because if there is a spill, finds its way onto asphalt, the asphalt will immediately begin to degrade. Concrete, it won't. It won't as rapidly. In almost daily correspondence with DES, we have nailed down a well location. It is 50 feet off of the right-of-way of Route 16, 50 feet off of the edge of pavement on Route 41. And that has been that location conceptually approved by DES. So again, The site plan, per se, hasn't changed. Just as I had indicated 3 weeks ago, there will be minor changes as we get to this evening, and those are the 5 minor changes. Thank you.
Questions?
Yes, Mark, I've got a question, and I spent some time going through the plans and have a few questions on some technical aspects. I didn't notice any provisions for bus parking. Given the nature and location of the facility, do we know if the applicant is considering handling buses?
For fueling,
Or just for people stopping to use the convenience store facility?
Not required, is it?
No, I just thought I'd ask.
sure. You're correct. It's not a requirement, but it's a reasonable expectation.
Okay, I just thought I'd ask if it was a consideration or if anybody had addressed it.
Yep. This end island on the
Mhm.
north side, this end island on the south side can accommodate buses, coaches, I think they're
Right,
called,
right.
and semi-tractor trailers. In that motion. In that motion.
Okay. The next question I have is, there's been some discussion about the 500-year flood elevation, but we never heard what the 100-year flood elevation was in this area. Do we have a number for that?
For the record, Jim Rhines. I did speak to that at the first meeting.
I may have missed it, Jim, sorry.
That's okay. I thought that was settled, so I may not have brought that, but I did handle it today.
I see the numbers, the city a lot lower, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was substantially lower. I did not bring that, but if you guys want to ask more questions, oh, wait,
Yeah.
made it? Take that back?
Oh, all right.
That was probably before he started.
Beg your pardon?
That's probably before he started. We've been at this for quite a while.
Yeah,
I believe you're right, Roy. Thanks.
well, maybe I spoke too soon. I've got the cross sections, but you can ask your other questions. I'll see if I...
Okay, on the fuel delivery and dispensing safety notes, there's a DES recommendation that the site's to have a spill response trained operator. I would suggest that this be a requirement, not just a recommendation by DES. I mean, we could follow up as the town, making it a requirement, just a suggestion.
I'm sorry, Tim, doesn't DES require a trained operator to be on site whenever?
Well, the
gas
language in the
is
drawing,
dispensed?
Bob, said recommend, and I just,
Yeah,
I think it ought to be a requirement.
yeah.
Just out of curiosity, groundwater protection plan notes, note number 4, employees shall be trained in spill response procedures. Do we have any idea who actually does the training of the spill response procedures?
I don't.
Okay,
I believe that's the owner's responsibility.
okay, fair enough. Erosion and sediment control requirements and procedures notes, note A, pollution protection plan to be prepared. Does sheet 4 in your drawing set represent that, or is that something that's provided by and developed by the contractor, the site contractor?
Sheet 4 is one component of the stormwater pollution prevention plan. Just one component.
Right.
I've been recently turning those out, and they're somewhere between 60 and 70 pages of
Okay.
plan sheets,
As well as all of the criteria and guidelines and everything else?
including all of them.
Okay.
Mhm.
The septic system on site plan, sheet number 2, site plan.
Yes.
The septic system for the building is shown located under the drive-through drive.
Yes,
Am I correct in seeing that we have 3 manholes exposed at that location? based upon the details of the 4, okay.
4.
And I'm assuming that the load capacity of that septic tank will be considered.
Both the kitchen waste, grease trap.
Oh, right,
and
the grease trap.
Effluent, the domestic waste septic tank will be H20 wheel rated, yes.
Okay. I'll be quick here.
I have your answer on the floodplain.
Okay.
The 500-year floodplain elevation is elevation 430.25, and the lowest elevation on our site is 438. So we're 8 feet above the 500-year floodplain.
But that's not my question. I wanted to know what the 100-year flood was.
So the 100-year,
Basically, so I understand what the elevation of groundwater and obviously the Bear Camp River would be in the case of a 100-year flood.
well, if you want to know Bear Camp River, that's not going to be where this site is. Bear Camp River is going to have a lower elevation.
I understand
So,
that. I'd like to know what, roughly what that number might be represented for the 100-year,
so the,
just for comparison's sake.
Wouldn't that have to be lower than the 500-year?
Oh,
It would
yes,
be in the
yes, absolutely.
470s, 460s.
that's
If you don't have it, Jim, we can
I
pass
do.
by that.
I do. It's gonna be about, it's gonna be about 3 feet lower. According to this, is 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, so it's gonna be, it's gonna be about 2 feet lower. So it's gonna be around 428,
Okay.
25.
Thank you. Let's see. On your site plan, I did not see any on-site signage noted for the project. I'm assuming that, we should know where there's going to be signage there. I know there's a existing sign that looks like it's going to remain or be relocated on the site for a business down on 41, but, I think it would be good for us to know where site signage is gonna be for the project.
In signing some of that jurisdiction of the Supreme Court.
We don't have a control over it.
Okay.
We've lost control on it.
That
I just thought I'd ask, because it didn't appear on the plan.
No, that is up to the selectmen.
Okay. Sheet number 4, grading and drainage plan. The stone check and relief dams that are shown in the swales, will they remain at the completion of the project, or will they be removed prior to the completion of the project?
They will be removed once all contributing upslope areas are stabilized.
Okay.
And getting back to the sign, still in your site plan review regulations, to show the location of the sign. I know this only because just recently I prepared another site plan. It did show location of the sign and its dimensions. In this case, out of fairness to the question, the canopy is likely to have
Okay.
a notification of what gas station.
All right.
type of gas.
We used to do that, and the Supreme Court got involved, it's a Selectmen thing, so it's kind of dropped out this last year.
Yep.
Okay.
I know most towns, site plan,
Yeah.
or planning boards don't deal with that.
Right.
Yeah, but we used to, and we got taken out of our hands.
Again, sheet 6, site work construction details. In the upper right-hand portion of the sheet, there's a typical paved section. Can you tell me what provisions might be made by the applicant to prevent vehicles from driving off pavement onto the gravel shoulder, which would accelerate the unraveling of the pavement edge? And on a second question, what provisions will be made to prevent vehicles from parking there in the event that all the parking spaces are occupied?
As to the first question, save for guardrail or curbing, there's nothing that I can do as the designer
Right.
to keep any of you from going off the edge of the
Okay.
pavement. As to the second question, parking is, in fact, well, it's human nature. People will park where they want. People
Right.
will park where their vehicle fits. People will park as close to where they want to get to as possible.
Oh, I
There
understand that.
could be available parking spaces open. People won't take them because they can park off the side of the driveway closer to the door. We could sign it, but I'm not big on sign clutter personally.
Okay. The lighting layout, I don't know if you have your lighting rep here, but I'll ask the question anyway. The A4 fixture located near the oil water separator, which is adjacent to the storage tank delivery area,
Yes.
will provide you with light levels less than 0.9 foot candles, and I'm just curious what accommodations might be made for illumination in that area if the fuel delivery occurs at night.
The trucks are lighted.
Okay.
I would suspect that the trucks
Okay.
are lighted because the delivery companies can't predict when deliveries are always going to be made,
Right.
or what the lighting conditions are where they're delivering.
Shine down lighting, don't show what they need to do anyways, they have to have lights.
Hazardous
Because they're
materials.
running the truck.
On your tank design plans, the plan shows tanks 4 through 7. I just wondered what happened to tanks 1 through 3. Or whether that was just a typo on the part of the tank designer.
I saw that too, Tim, and I didn't ask him. I think there might be some reason, but I don't know
Okay.
what.
It's just a technicality, but
Yeah.
Will any of the underground storage tanks be utilized for diesel fuel?
Yes.
How many diesel fuel dispensing pumps will we have on site?
One each at the aforementioned, let's see, southerlymost pump and northerlymost pump.
So 2 or 4?
Two.
Okay. On sheet 3 of the tank design details, the vent pipe detail, which shows the vent pipe to the north of the storage tanks. That's on DB Tank Designs plan. That's in the upper left-hand corner of sheet 3.
Okay.
Do we know what the height above finish grade will be for the actual vent caps?
It's not shown on his plan.
No, it's not noted on there.
There's a regulation for that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but
There's a regulation.
I keep going back to Holiday Pines because I go down.
Yeah, yeah.
Checking hose links,
Yeah.
for instance. And it's true, they don't reach beyond the edge of the canopy.
Sure, sure.
And there was a little, when I was testing it,
That's right.
I just gotta tell the story, I'll get right back to that. There was a little bit of fuel left in the hose. It went on right into the PLBs, right into them.
That's right. Yeah.
And by the time I'd finished filling my truck and pulling out, it was all evaporated. So they're there for a reason, and they're located there for a reason.
I stand corrected, it was Big Apple that has 3 roofs. Irving
Ah.
has 5.
There we go. Down at Holiday Pines, those vents, I'm gonna say, gotta be 10 feet tall.
Mhm.
I hardly noticed them, but.
Yeah. No, I was just curious
I was looking
from a
for
safety
that.
standpoint.
Uh-huh. You mean errant drivers hitting
No,
them?
you know, like somebody walking up to it when the vent happens to open and they light a match next to it or something like that.
Okay.
I'd be surprised.
Plus the height of it, so that if you have dissipation of the vapors coming out of that, you
Mhm.
know, the height is a factor of that dissipation.
That's
I would
by-
imagine that's why they're as high as they are.
That's by regulation.
Oh,
All right. And the last question I have is, over the last several weeks or so, there's been a lot of speculation as to specifically who's going to be the end occupant of the building. We've heard a lot of rumors, but there's been no formal identification of the end user. I think it would be in the interest of the town to know who that might be.
That's not our business.
None of our
Okay.
business.
Okay,
None of our
You're out of line.
business. And
fair enough. I withdraw the question.
Unless you want to answer.
No.
well, we all know that rumor will march across the country before the truth gets its boots on.
Right, and we only deal with the truth here, not hearsay and innuendo, so.
And I don't even know. I don't need to know.
Okay.
Any other questions? I will open it to the public or anyone that wishes to speak. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am, from Madison. Mr. Lucy, in the last meeting, you talked about the oil and water separator being drained annually. So my first question is, if there is gasoline in there, where does it go? What happens to it? And where does the contents of the separator go?
Well, may I? First, hasn't been established the frequency of the cleaning of the oil separator, oil-water separator, or the deep sump catch basins. That or those will be conditions that the planning board will set on the proposal. I needed to start somewhere, so I suggested annually. Outfits, one that's used regularly locally, Clean Harbors. They come in, they have the equipment, the tank trucks and so forth, to suck out the tanks, suck out the catch basins, and then they go and dispose of it by whatever regulations there are.
That's clean harvest,
Clean Harbors,
harbors.
Harbors.
Okay, thank you.
At a
Welcome.
previous meeting, we discussed that there should logically be an immediate pump out if there is a significant spill that is captured by the oil water separator, so that there's not complete dissolving of the water soluble components of the gasoline. that goes
We covered all that.
We did, yes, yeah.
We did.
And again, I needed to set the bar at a certain level, and I did. But again, the planning board has the opportunity to set a condition of what is considered a significant spill.
We can use the state's definition for that for the DES.
Certainly,
Is there one, Mark?
not that I'm aware of, but if there is one.
What?
Yeah, I believe it's 5 gallons.
That's 5 gallons, I believe.
I think federal was 5 gallons, period.
Whatever it is,
Yeah.
Mr. Coop here.
Question. There was a reference made to groundwater recharge area over the dry wells, and I didn't understand what you were explaining in the drawing when you were talking about that.
Sometimes I'll say things, I know what I mean, but I might not adequately articulate.
Just keep us guessing.
The groundwater recharge area that I was referring to are these 3 dry wells. Stormwater runs into them, stormwater percolates out.
So, could I add additional question then? The banks where all of the pumps are and all that water, like today's rain, is running, is it going to go into those dry wells, or is that what's going into these other deep
Sump catch
sump
basins.
catch basins that you pointed to in the corners?
You're correct. In order to get here, I'll have to go through the closed system, deep sump catch basins, and the oil water separator, and then into the groundwater recharge area. There's some surface water there and here that will go directly into the dry wells, but they will, those areas won't be exposed to the chance for fuel spill contamination.
Okay, and so if there's any fuel that's spilled on that pad where the pumps are, you said it would float to the surface, so only water, clean water is going into those groundwater recharge wells?
Stormwater, yes.
Stormwater wells?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
so that any gasoline or petroleum product floats above that water level, and it's the water that discharges as the petroleum remains in the tank, right?
Correct. Or upstream of the tank in any of the deep sump catch basins, which also have hooded outlets.
So again, what happens to the little bit of gas that's on the top? Where does that go
It evaporates over time.
over time? And there are sensors that if that gas gets a little too deep because there's too much running into there, something's going to trigger an alarm.
Correct.
Thank you.
Is the diesel handled any differently than the gas, or are they kind of in the same sort of system?
In what respect, Dan?
Oh, in terms of storage and in terms of runoff systems and spills?
Identical.
You get a separate tank for your diesel. And the dispensers, once it gets to the dispenser, if there is a spill, it's handled the same as gasoline. Yes, sir.
Larry Wagman, Old Mill Road in West Ossipee. I was concerned about the congestion of that area. That's beyond your scope?
That is beyond our scope, that's DOT.
Okay, when is that traffic study gonna be done? Do you have any idea?
It started, I don't know when they're gonna conclude, Mark.
I do.
Okay.
I spoke with the traffic engineer today, and he anticipates having a draft copy of the traffic impact study available for the design team the middle of next week. The 14th of June, to be exact.
Will public have access to that? Or?
Not the draft, no.
Mark, one quick question. Was that study, did that commence prior to Memorial Day weekend?
No.
Yes. Yeah, the last time you were here, they started the day you were here. May 16th.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
The counts were done on a Saturday, and prior to the counts being done, DOT concurred with the traffic engineer's date and time of the count, and concurred with, or told the traffic engineer what seasonal adjustments, weekly and daily adjustments to use on those numbers.
Anybody can't do on the Friday, did they?
No.
They should have.
Saturday, well, DOT had determined between 9:30 and noon on a Saturday.
They ought to try driving truck on a Friday, or anything else. Getting back out past Dennis.
And up, it's me.
Rich Fagan. I'm a little confused with, when you asked about the transportation. I thought that, in all the planning boards, we've talked about that a lot, and I thought that was a consideration in approval or disapproval.
We have no control over
So why,
traffic.
could I ask why we've even discussed it then?
Because they bring it up.
Okay, but we really, the public doesn't have, I've got a list of concerns about the traffic, but we really can't,
Not nothing we can
they're
do.
irrelevant then for the purposes of this planning board.
That is all by state DOT. They're the ones that set it. They'll set the speed limits, they'll set everything. The
And
planning board cannot dictate to the state how to run that.
including lights if I think you need it or if they're not needed.
Is that correct, James?
And I believe that Mark can speak to it if his voice holds out, but I believe DOT has planned that will be a lighted intersection.
Yes, it'll be a four-way lighted intersection. Construction to start and be completed in 2019.
Well, can I correct you on that? I think the last time you talked about that, you said there's no plans to do that. And right now, because there's the plume under 41, there's really nothing planned by DOT.
They're gonna do the lights, but they're not doing the road over. There's a difference.
Right, they're doing it, well, they got a flashing light. This will be, all things being equal, constructed at some time by 2018 or maybe 2019,
By 2019, there's
2017.
gonna be a green light there, green, red, whatnot. They're just not gonna tear the road base up.
Okay. I mean, there's so many concerns about the traffic and going in and out, and we've talked about it. It's not just these guys have, the public has, and you have, and it's been brought up, and now I'm being told it's not a point of impact.
It's nothing we can reject.
Okay.
State highways. Yeah, both roads, 41 and 16 are state highways.
If I have the floor, I have a couple more questions, and I don't want to hog the limelight, but I do have, just for a clarification on Tim's, it was kind of a curious question about the 500 year and 100, and I looked into it a little bit more and did my own, I actually went and got an app so I could find out what the altitude was, because I was kind of curious. And found out that Mr. Rhymes was right. It's about 438, standing there. And I guess if I had gone down further, it would have been maybe a little bit lower, but 438 was just about what it was. Then I looked at the tanks. The tanks are 10 feet and 10 feet high, about, and there's 3 feet of ground cover, so you put dirt on it. So you take 438 and you subtract 13, because the tanks are now down there and they're down to 425. The flood zone's at 430. I'm just wondering, and it's just for my clarification, it's not trying to be argumentative or anything. I'm just curious if now are the tanks in the flood zone, or are they not in the flood zone? Because the surface area is out of the flood zone, but not the tanks themselves. Sorry?
The flood zone's on top, not down below. That's groundwater down below.
Right, but when it floods,
It's still on top. That's flood's on
okay,
top.
so we don't care about the tanks being excavated or anything like that. Doesn't know anything.
That's state's jurisdiction.
Okay. Somebody asked, I don't think he's in the audience today, but he asked about wetlands. Are there any railroads nearby? I thought that was an interesting question. Mr. Lucy didn't know the answer, and I didn't know the answer. Most of you guys didn't.
It's behind the next property.
And the answer is just for the edification of everybody, because I went and looked at it. It's less than 1/10 of a mile. I don't think it's a showstopper, but there are railroad beds
Yep.
there, and there are, so there,
Double track right there, something right there.
ipso facto
But
wetlands.
It's not close enough to anything there.
No, it's under 1/10 of a mile, but not really. But just to close the loop on that, because I'm looking for the gaps.
You got your medical people in between.
Get the medical people?
Yeah, the ambulance place is right there between.
Well, and that was one of my concerns with the traffic, with all the traffic that's going to build up on there, and there's no doubt it's going to be a 30%, in my opinion. Even if it's a 10%, it's a huge impact. And the EMS, I don't know how they're going to get out of there, because there's just not enough road line.
I do.
Okay.
The four-way signalized intersection will have overrides.
Right.
Overrides, so that they'll all go red when any emergency responders want to get through.
And that's going to happen with the construction, or later on when DOT does their changes?
And DOT
That'll happen when they put
puts
the
up
lights in.
signals.
So we've got a 2-year window where we can't do anything about it.
Right now, they come down the wrong side of the road. I've been there. They just come down the wrong side of the road, the light, the sirens blaring, and go out in the traffic.
Okay.
So where does this other 30% increase in traffic come from?
Well, people going in and out and clogging it up. You got a guy, I mean, we talked about it. We talked about left-hand turns.
But, I
and
mean,
all-
you're just saying that there's gonna be a 30%
No,
increase in traffic.
I said, I randomly.
Is that what you said?
I randomly said, can I get on the video? I said 30%, 10%, I don't know what it is. I'm just randomly saying there's going to be an increase. I don't think it's beyond the pale to say there will be an increase in traffic congestion due to this.
In congestion, yes, but not traffic.
That's what I'm talking about. Maybe I wasn't clear enough. It was just traffic congestion. And since traffic and DOT subjects aren't even relevant, you and I can agree just not to, I mean, we can drop that subject, because it's not we can't do anything about it.
Relevant.
Nothing we can do
Right,
about it.
yeah, so I'm not even gonna go into that. I do have a letter for DES that I'm gonna submit to everybody on the board, but I don't wanna get in trouble like what happened in the last thing. So if I could, before this meeting closes, I'd like to just distribute it to everybody. But I don't want it to make it contentious. I don't need to read it, or it can be read, but I don't want it to be a showstopper. So if I could just put that out there that I have it, and I don't want it to be shut down before it's actually submitted to Laura.
To the secretary, please.
I'll submit it to her right after, after I get down. And in regards a licensed engineer, and I wrote this down just to make sure I was accurate with it. Mr. Rhines, during a discussion at the zoning board last year, you stated that large construction sites should have the oversight of peer review. You and I both agree with that. Basically, a licensed environmental engineer, an independent site surveyor. My brother's a professional engineer. He actually took a look at it, and he said in his case, and he's been doing this for decades, he said in this case he would mandate that, because right now I'm not qualified, anybody else in the public's not qualified, the planning board's not qualified to really give an independent site review. So the only thing that we have to depend upon is the applicant.
And
And
New
so I
Hampshire
just-
DES.
DES.
Right, but an independent site review so that the planning board, and I'm just gonna put that forward again, and that's all I have to say about it, and I have the letter, and I got you, Roy, I'm not gonna push it. I just wanted to bring that up as a subject. It's simply a question.
Are you
Is this-
suggesting that an engineer should monitor the construction as it goes forward?
No, I do think that should happen, but I think for the benefit, just like we talked about, I think we've talked about at every planning board, I think that we should get a independent site surveyor just to take a look at it and say, especially for contamination on site, and actually just give his estimate.
Wants to re-engineer it again.
Sorry?
Basically, you want to have it re-engineered by another engineer again.
No, I want an impartial engineer. I just want an
That's the same
impartial.
difference. You're
I want an
re-engineering your
impartial
plans.
site
Environmental
surveyor.
services.
Review.
It's already been done.
It's just a review, and I don't want to belabor a point. I just want to.
Environmental
Well, we're
services
beating a
already
dead
do
horse
that.
now.
It's you're putting on top, on top, on top, on top, and you're holding people up.
Listen, do I have the floor, or if I'm holding people up, I'll shut. If you want to sit me down, you can sit me down right now.
I'm gonna tell you how we respond. DES has to supervise this, period. So, and this applicant has gone beyond what has been required. Every little thing that we have asked has been done.
And there will be a geologist on site.
And there will be someone.
Mr. Barron, I've got you quoted as saying that from the last minute, so thanks
That's
for
right.
reminding everybody of that, because I think that's a really, in fact, to be specific, what you said was contamination remediation is, no, I put your name down on here somewhere, just to make sure that you know that
I don't think I use those terms, it means the same thing.
Right, no, absolutely, no, it wasn't doing to condemn you, it was to actually to back up exactly what you.
I'm as fussy as the next guy about the environment.
Okay, in that regard, question, simple question. Is this site remediated or not remediated by DES? Yes or no? I just want to know.
They have the oversight.
No, is this site remediated? It's a Superfund site, contaminated site. Is it remediated or is it not remediated?
First off, Jim Rhines again from White Mountain Survey. It is not a Superfund site. Superfund sites are federally governed by the EPA. This is it's a contaminated site controlled by DES. They were just issued a 5-year extension to their groundwater discharge permit. So the site itself, DES believes is clean because the monitoring
That's not
wells and everything
my
else.
question. Is it remediated? That's all I want to know.
What do you
site
mean
is,
by
yes.
The site is.
Is it remediated? That site, that
The
2-acre site for
site
construction is remediated?
As far as anyone knows, yeah.
No, but that's what my question is. What's the engineer tell you? Is it remediated? At some point, I know this because I have a contaminated site near where I live, and it's been remediated. And DES has come in and said, this place is remediated. And I know it's a technical term, but it's really important for the public to know it's remediated or not.
So
remediated.
the site is remediated, but DES won't say it's remediated until they can close the groundwater discharge permit, which is now has off-site contamination. So the site is remediated, but that
Who says
groundwater
it's, where can I find that?
You can't, because
Right.
DES isn't gonna say that, because the groundwater discharge permit has to continue.
So it's not
What you're telling us
remediated.
is
The
So
site,
answer-
you asked if the site was, the site is.
But who said that the site is
I just,
remediated?
you asked the question at DES, we had the consultant here.
Did DES say it's remediated? Is there, I'm just asking, I
You're
just
being
wanna know for the
argumentative at
record.
this
Being
point.
argumentative now at this
Yeah.
point. There are monitoring wells on the site, all the monitoring, we see your hand, Greg. The monitoring wells that are on the site are actually clean. The only thing that there's contamination is the one that's on the other side of 41. So all the wells, all the monitoring wells that are on the site come away clean with the reports.
Okay.
In part because this contamination migrated away from the site
I just
across
said
the,
that.
under the highway.
Okay.
Across your
I'll
dog.
sit down and give some, but I must say, I spent a lot of time on the DES site, and to me, it is important in talking with professional engineers about what's remediation and what's not. So, thank you.
Frank,
Just a point of information, like New Hampshire DES has the one-stop data, where you can do the query and you can see every single document that was generated by DES, and you can see every document that was submitted as part of the formal file for the project. And there are summaries that are presented in there by the environmental consultants as they prepared the renewal for the groundwater management permit that was just issued here in April. So I
I've been
would
through
beg,
all of
go
them.
ahead and ask, you can call, and it's Todd Brovitsky?
Piskovitz, that's the letter I've got. It's to Mr. Piskovitz, and it's questioning some of the things that I found on his DES site. I had a professional look at it, so I'm not coming here just giving random words. I'm actually looking at it hard.
Well, my other point of information is licensed professionals were preparing the materials that are submitted to DES. And to the DES, those individuals, in most cases, are also licensed professionals who are reviewing the materials. They have to meet very specific standards before they can allow certain categories to happen with these project sites. And when they issue a groundwater management permit and they specify what the parameters are, they also specify when things trigger a different level of review.
thank you, Frank. For any other one? Person wishing to speak?
I have one more question for Mark, if I may. If I'm not mistaken, Mark, the last on-site testing, or the testing of the 5 on-site wells occurred in 2012, if I'm not mistaken, based upon the DES records that were presented in the package.
James?
I may be wrong on the date, but it's in that ballpark.
Okay.
My next question is, now that that's 5 years past, will the 5 test wells be accessible when the project's completed to do further testing in the future?
Yes,
Mark?
they have to be.
If they have to be, they will be. I wasn't aware that they have to be.
I will, my understanding, and is that if monitor wells are to be monitored, then they have to be preserved, and if they get destroyed, they have to install new ones.
Okay.
None of the on-site monitor wells haven't been sampled since 2008, I believe.
I think
I'm looking at.
the last spreadsheet that I saw showed at least one well that was monitored on or around 2012.
Okay,
But again, I may be mistaken, but
the one I've got from DES's website says for monitor wells 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7, from April 23rd, 2008 through 16, they were not sampled.
but test well 3 was.
Test well 3,
The one they only sampled, Jim, was over pizzeria.
right, that was 8, and 8 just got destroyed, by the way.
Right. Well, 3 is the one that's near the drive going in and out of the site on Route 41, which is the one directly adjacent to the contamination location.
We need to get back to the public.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yes, Joyce.
I just have one question, and I don't know if I can ask it or not, but do we have any idea what this project's gonna cost? Are we talking millions of dollars, or?
Irrelevant.
We don't deal with costs.
Okay. So in other words, if they get halfway through, they run out of money, that's just the way it is? Okay, thank you.
They still own the property, they still gotta pay the tax.
Okay.
Yes, Corey, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I'd like to give you some copies of your minutes from February 7th. It's really a waste of my time, but you treated me very poorly at the last meeting.
Number one,
Connie.
before, whoa, we accepted that application as complete February 7th.
Yes, thank you. There you go.
February 21st, it was withdrawn.
Exactly, but you accepted it as complete without considering regional impact. That was my point in the letter.
All right,
If I may, I have a couple other questions.
quickly, please.
Just a couple of things that have been stated. So on March 21st, Jim Ryan stated the redevelopment of this site will have no impact on the existing situation. How can you state that as a fact when you have no idea if the contamination is remediated? At that same meeting, Sam Martin said, per DES, it is unknown if contamination is underneath the building.
Yes, yes.
As far as DES knows, the site is clean, so if they find something, just like when they removed all the tanks and decided it was clean and then found another tank at a separate time, if you discover something, you can't know what you don't know.
Thank you for that.
So
Right.
so as far as anyone knows, it's clean. If they dig under the building and find contamination from old floor drains, then that will trigger yet another set of remediation and
And it may
monitoring.
impact, I mean, this site, according to DES, is a risk category number 2. Potential human health risks, residential wells within 1,000 feet or a site within a wellhead area. I mean, stirring up this contamination is pretty risky when we have no idea what's left there. The tanks that were removed weren't even registered, so they didn't even know they were there. There could be many other tanks sitting at this site that could be exposed and could put residents and businesses at risk within 1,000 feet, maybe less, maybe more.
Can I ask you a question? If they find another tank, would it be better to get it out of there than leave it?
And let it continue to drain, so that whatever it's draining into them.
I think you
Look,
don't
you're
really
listening to yourself.
understand.
You're beating it to
I don't
death.
think you understand how this works.
I
especially
understand
if
quite well how it
you're
works. I had a
What are
hazmat
your
license.
credentials?
She's a member of the public.
saying- I didn't
She has
realize
the
I
floor.
needed specific credentials
Oh, you
to speak at a public hearing.
You don't.
all right, but you're contesting information provided by people that have credentials, professional engineers, surveyors.
I'm using my common sense to want to know
Well, your
how you
comments,
will deal
I'll
with
leave
this
that one
when
alone.
They have to
Well,
clean it up if they find
multiple
it.
Whoa.
businesses and residents
Corey.
impacted that received letters about increased contamination and that kind of thing.
We will, if there is another tank discovered, DES will handle it.
Okay.
So,
So there's potential to find many more issues at this site since it was, a site that, no?
no, I don't believe so. No more danger than any other gas station in town.
Can I ask you another question then, please?
Quickly.
This application, as far as I understand from looking at it on Thursday, is still accepted as saying not applicable under the hazardous materials.
No.
It says 40,000 gallons worth of gas. I asked Laura if this was the up-to-date application. Who does this apply to? And they just mentioned diesel. Is that separate from gasoline? And is there kerosene at this gas station? Are there other types of hazardous materials that, I just want to be sure the town of Ossipee residents aren't left in the lurch because it doesn't apply to the applicant.
The hazardous which you are speaking about is in quantities which is motor oil, basically,
5 gallons or more.
Petroleum products in general.
right.
leave, anything happens.
Petroleum.
How much you got in your backyard?
0.
You don't have any gas in your house.
In my backyard, no. I have a gallon of gas in my barn to fill my lawnmower. I am guilty of that.
Okay,
Safely stored, no permits necessary.
that's it.
This is 40,000 gallons of gas, and from the math that we've just heard, these will be installed into the, I thought we were at an Ossipee Planning Board meeting, so I'm talking to this board, not DES.
DES is the one that controls it, Cory.
We don't.
Don't you understand it?
Apparently she doesn't.
What we can control and what DES controls are two different things.
You are in charge of the health and safety of the residents of this town.
All right,
And
That is why we were
that's
here.
it.
If DES approves it, we have to approve it. As simple as that. We cannot tell a business they can't come in because we don't want it, because we don't like it. Simple as that. They'll take us to court, sue our ass, just like you people have been suing our ass.
I object, Mr. Chairman, for the language being used.
Yes, Joyce.
I'd just like to say one thing. I mean, I've been on many boards, and I don't live in this town, I'm a taxpayer in this town, but I just feel, I'm almost embarrassed to come here, because everybody should respect everybody. And when I was on a board, I mean, I listened to the people. I wouldn't come back and say something like you people do. I mean, maybe I'm being childish or something, but I just think everybody needs to grow up and be men and women and listen to each other, respect each other. And I mean, I remember many times people used to say things to me when I was on boards that I didn't like, but I took it under advisement. I talked to my board about it. I never reacted like this. And I'm sorry, but I felt I had to say this.
We have been over it time after time after time, beating the same dead horse. That's why
Over
we're
and
exasperated.
and over.
We still have an
And over,
obligation
and
to
they
be
come up with the
civil
same
and
thing.
polite.
And then they come in with laws from other countries, wants to use those laws.
That's it. One question, sir.
Rich Fay, I'd just like to second that. I have several other questions. I've spent hours, we're talking like 60 or 70 hours on this case looking at this. I don't feel like I get the respect from the board that I'm deserved as a public, so I'm not going to go further with it.
See you later.
Yeah, you know, Mr. Billings, it's just indicative. It's just the lack of respect. I would never, as a public figure, walk out of anybody else.
Both ways.
No, it doesn't. The public can walk out whenever they want to. As a public figure, you really can't.
That is Moulton.
Yeah, but could you at least, at some point, could somebody say that's wrong and not allow it, or just not say
How
that
am I
it's?
going to stop him,
That
sir?
was said last meeting.
I know, and I appreciate that, Tim. I saw that, and if that could just be recorded again by somebody on the board to note that. This time, I'll take credit for his leaving. We're keeping track because I saw a December board where somebody got 2 people to leave and almost 3 at the same time, so it's 3, 3, and 1 for anybody who's keeping track.
May I say this? We have had these plans, one way or another, since February. They have revised them every time that we've asked. We've taken the public's input every meeting. We got to the point where repetition is repetition. It's the same thing, except it's in other words. Now, this board cannot deny this application because the ZBA, which this public never bothered saying anything or applying to the ZBA to rehear it. So our hands are tied to the point that we can not approve it, but we can approve it with conditions. And those conditions will be part of it. I will allow you one more.
Thanks, sir. I heard you directly say back in March that whatever the ZBA decided is inconsequential to the decision that's going to be made by this planning board. And furthermore, I think it's really important that there was an appeal made shortly after the time frame of 30 days, and I really hope that everybody reads that appeal closely. I finally looked at it this week, and that appeal by, I think, Mr. McConkey was brilliantly written. I haven't seen anything that concrete written in a long time, and I just hope everybody in making the decision looks at that appeal to the variance that the zoning board made back in July of 15, and he filed it in August of 15. And for the record, I just know that everybody's got it, but I think it's important that everybody reads the whole thing, because especially the discussion between above ground and below ground tanks, I think is very important.
Did you say after the 30 days?
Yeah.
Yes, but I'm saying right now, the planning board has the opportunity to look at that and consider that on the whole, making sure that everything is considered for the health, wealth, and safety of the regional people in Ossipee and surrounding areas.
Are you trying to tell us that we should have, and wait a minute, to go back to the March statement, what the CBA does is you said consequential. What they do, and they approve, is out of our hands. We have no control over them. They are an elected body by themselves. When it is passed to us, for your information, I have about 12 different things that I am going to propose that this board put on Valley Point. Some of it you're not going to like, some of it you're going to like. But I am going to propose them. That's the extent to which we can go.
Can you look at have you looked at the amendment form that was
Mr.
submitted?
McConkey
Yes. Did you look at
wrote
that?
that. And I take that kind of with a grain of salt. Because Mr. McConkey owns M&B along with Vinnie.
Okay.
Now,
And to be honest, I don't know who Mr. McConkey is or what he does, so I just saw on
he's
the
a
merits
state
of it.
rep, number one.
Okay.
Number two,
I
he's a
recognize the name
partial
from
owner.
around here.
He's a partial owner of M&B, which had a gas spill, which went across the street
Oh, I know.
to the ski and bee shop.
But that was pre him, those tanks were pre his purchase.
So,
Underground tanks.
so,
Stick those guys above ground tanks.
but they have proven that it's not the tanks that leak, it's the connections. These people have come and said, we're going to run one pipe, no connections until it gets to the pump from the tank. So, how much more can you ask them to do?
I can ask them for above ground tanks versus below ground tanks, but then we go
We
right back
can't.
into it.
We cannot impose that. That was a variance given by the ZBA.
Oh, I know, I read it.
All right, so,
But-
yes,
I just wanted to see if you could clarify, this case is presently before the ZBA right now?
No, it was July 15.
it was in
Passed.
July of 2000.
I got the minutes right here if you want.
Okay.
They had their variances given.
Okay, I thought I heard that it was appealed recently, I just wanted to.
It was appealed a month later, but not within the 30 days.
I see,
So
gotcha.
35 days,
Okay.
Yes,
so it wasn't
It
accepted.
was never appealed.
Correct.
There was a motion for reconsideration that was filed late, but there was never an appeal filed.
So this appeal that Laura's got, is that not
That's not an
admissible?
appeal.
It's not an appeal, it's a motion for reconsideration.
Is it submitted to the planning board as part of the package?
No.
Can it
No,
be?
because it was filed too late.
It's part of the ZBA process.
So it can't be filed now separately under a different name or anything?
No,
We're not getting rid of this place, time to close it.
All right.
I had just two quick questions, and it doesn't pertain to the installation at all. I agree that it's a class installation. DES, every time I hear you say something about DES, do we have any idea how often a person, whether it be a geologist or a hazardous waste person, is going to be on site during construction? That's number one question. And number two question, I can't wrap my head around why DES is not taking a sample from those wells prior to construction. For the very least, they should be establishing a baseline.
You'd have to ask.
They have the baseline.
But they haven't tested it for years.
That's not under our jurisdiction.
How do we know? How do we know it's clean? We don't know it's
You need
clean.
to ask them that, not us.
Well, yeah, but I'm bringing it to you. Can't you bring it to the DES?
Independent site surveyor would do it.
We have. We've asked.
Mr. Chairman.
One question, Ms. Corey.
This would just go back to the independent site plan review. Just today, you know, this gas station could have been passed last month. Luckily, there was an extension for more time to review the information. Just today, Mark said there were, 5 issues that were exposed when you did an internal review. That to me means there's a real reason to do a independent site plan review, especially if Mr. Rhines, who sits on the zoning board, thinks it's a good idea for big proposals that other engineers present. So I just hope that this board will consider, for the health and safety of their community and surrounding communities,
Thank you.
to do this at the cost of the applicant.
All right, I'm close.
I'd like to make a correction. There were just 2 items that were a result of a
I thought
wet
you
mountain
said
survey and
5,
engineering internal review. One was in addition to the certification. It was a note. And the other had to do with the plumbing of the deep sump catch basins. You don't need deep sump catch basins, you use regular catch basins, which this started out as. I offered those, the deep sump catch basins, as an additional level of protection. Little did I know that you can't flow through them. So, fine. I think that's almost disingenuous, your comment.
Well, I still feel strongly that an independent review is needed. And I apologize, I thought you said five things had come up.
5 things were only 2.
To review the
As a
review.
result of internal
Okay,
review.
I misunderstood, I apologize.
I need to get a drink of water. I need to get a drink of water.
Have a 5-minute recess, please. Head over that one, please. Thank you.
Everybody else is doing, making the life showed up until the boy got lost. He needs to be. Meeting after meeting after meeting, to know what he is doing.
Dennis.
I know he aggravates everybody.
Is that what you said?
I'm sorry, but I don't know if I need to make a motion to that one, but that's uncalled for. It actually is called for. I'll explain it to you later. I'll explain it to you later. It's uncalled for. I'll explain it to you later. There's a good reason for it. No, there's no reason. Oh, yeah, there is, trust me.
All right.
I'll explain it to you later. Public comes here to voice their opinion about something. Yeah, sorry.
Dennis, I was gonna have him hold off his comments until we're taped back on. You're not a chairman. We have a new chairman.
Sir,
Apparently.
now, due to this site being under DES supervision, I ask the planning board to consider making the following motions for conditional approval. There are 13 of them. I will read down the list, and then I will put each one separately as a vote, so that we are not, if we feel that something should not be in here, then we can throw it out.
Do we have a copy of that?
No,
Are these laws you're reading, or you just putting conditions on as something that's not legal?
no, I'm not putting conditions on that are not legal. I am putting conditions which I feel
Sorry?
are what the public has been asking for.
If it's not a law, we can't put a condition. Well, you can't.
Can you photocopy those, Connie, so we can quickly read them ourselves?
Please.
I agree with that.
We can put more reasonable.
Rick said he was going to.
You can't.
I
If it's
can-
not in our zoning, it's not in our laws, you can't put conditions. That's just an open lawsuit for this to us.
Did you sign all those, Pete?
I'm sorry?
Did you sign all those?
Everything's ready to go, yeah?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Laura.
You wanna use vegetable oil or
You
regular?
give one, Jim, one. Peter, I'm going to ask you to read those. My voice is going.
Chairman Billing has composed a list of 13 conditions he would like to impose on this application. Condition, number 1, written proof of who is responsible for the cleanup of off-site drinking wells, both private and public, with proof of the means to do so. 2, any and all excavation shall be under the supervision of DES, with continued testing being done to prove that no new contamination is present. 3, all contaminated soil shall be removed from the site and safely disposed of per DES regulations. 4, no new construction of any building shall begin until the entire site is deemed safe and clean of all contamination. 5, plans that show the prevention of further groundwater contamination. 6, plans for groundwater contamination monitoring shall continue until DES reports the site is safe and all drinking wells are clean for a timeline as set by DES per the Petroleum Superfund regulations, or 5 years, whatever is greater. 7, proof of state approval of the well water and septic system. 8, all permits, state, federal, local, shall be in place, before any construction begins. 9, no salt to be used for snow and ice removal. 10, all construction shall be materially of the latest design. 11, all local, state, and federal regulations are followed. 12, site shall be developed as per site plans approved by this board.
13 is 5, the sumps, 5 gallons or clean after 5 gallons or semi-annually.
I agree with you, but let me suggest a more general way to formulate that. That any spill that requires DES notification shall result in the evacuation of the oil water separation system.
That is automatic. That's a DES vote.
So whether it's 2, 5, 10, or 20 gallons, doesn't matter. If whatever DES says requires notification, then it also automatically should kick in if the oil water separation system is pumped out.
Actually, except with number 1, everything's already in the plans.
This says it has to be there. I agree.
I thought that was already.
It's already there. We're reiterating what we've already done.
Which is in
No, they're not.
All of it.
The cleanup
No,
of the
they're
site
not.
had been totally cleaned up before it was
Yes, yes.
any construction.
Doesn't hurt to restate it.
They're not in the plan.
Well, it's been in all our meetings. I don't know whether or not the
I
plan.
don't care with it.
Let's not get off.
That's the,
You're gonna vote on these separately?
I have only one question, Connie, about number 6. You refer to all drinking wells are clean for all timelines. All drinking wells where, including the one across 41?
in that area the DES defines.
Oh, I see, okay. So they don't have to be cleaned up before the project goes ahead, but you're saying the monitoring shall continue.
Correct, because you don't know what, like Jim said, they can dig the concrete up and it can be contaminated underneath it because of the old drains.
But isn't that outside the authority or jurisdiction of the applicant to determine that that monitoring continues?
No, because of the super,
No,
because of the petroleum.
Petroleum fund.
The petroleum fund is the one that's
Right,
paying for that.
but it's not up to the applicant to make sure that happens. right?
The applicant is the one, well, it is now in Mr. Sullivan's hands.
Right.
Mr. Sullivan is the one that signed the application for 5 years.
Okay.
Another satisfied resident.
You want to pause or?
Well,
I think we should vote on each one separately. So there's no question.
somebody's got to second it first.
I'll second it.
All right.
What, are you seconding number 1 or all
We're
of them?
seconding reading it, I guess. Is that what you're seconding?
Can you restate the motion? We didn't. hear
It's
it.
right on the top.
Okay.
Okay, so due to this site being under DES supervision, I ask the planning board to consider making the following motions for conditional approval.
And,
Okay, so
and
let's
we will go over
take them one at a time?
one at a time.
Okay.
And we can we will vote them up or down.
Okay, so,
Please read it, Peter.
yep, I'd like to make a motion that condition 1, written proof of who is responsible for the cleanup of off-site drinking wells, both private and public, with proof of the means to do so. We have a
Second.
second.
Discussion. No discussion, call for a vote. All those in favor?
I think we should poll.
Huh?
You gonna poll or you just want to?
No, a vote.
Let's go to vote. One by one.
One by one, I will vote.
Poll.
I'm in favor.
All right, motion, first one is made and seconded and voted in the affirmative. Number 2,
Make a motion for condition number 2. Any and all excavation shall be under the supervision of DES with continued testing being done to prove that no new contamination is present. We have a second.
Second.
what is the outside there?
At-
Discussion?
At this point, we don't have any idea what the duration of DES inspection is going to be, so it's just either as required or when they come weekly or whatever their duration is. That's a question.
Jim, you have a geologist on site in this, right? Or someone who is responsible for DES, the way I understand it.
Ransom Consulting is responsible for the monitoring of this site
Okay.
with DES.
So, there will be someone present.
During excavation, Ransom won't be out there during excavation, will they? Or will they?
I mean,
That's what the geologists think we need to see.
yeah, I mean, typically what happens is if you're excavating and all of a sudden they find contamination, a tank, whatever, all construction stops.
Right.
And then they come up, they take both a soil sample, if there was groundwater, they take a water sample.
So the guys who are running the excavator know how to pinpoint
Peter, I
contamination?
asked DES that question, which I think is a very good one, and they said, well, you know when you reach contaminated soil because you can smell it. It smells like gasoline.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It smells terrible when you break it. I
Yeah.
know you.
Okay.
So in answer to my
Thank you.
question, we don't know what the frequency of the DES
Don't worry,
monitoring.
DES will be
Okay,
there.
okay.
I will call for a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Number 3 is very,
Number 3, make a motion all contaminated soils be removed from the site and safely disposed of per DES regulations.
Shall be removed.
Shall be removed.
Shall be removed from the site and safely disposed of per DES regulations.
Second.
discussion. Vote. All those in favor? Motion carries.
Condition 4, no new construction of any buildings shall begin until the entire site is deemed safe and clean of all contamination.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Second.
Motion for condition
Second.
Discussion?
Discussion.
Construction of any buildings or construction period?
No new construction of any building.
How about just no new construction shall begin until the entire site is deemed
Well,
safe?
you have to have construction, you have to dig up the ground, that's construction.
On top of that, if it looks clean, you start digging, you know what you're gonna find, you start your
Right.
footers.
But they will not be able to build
I got it.
until the site is complete.
The ground is.
All those in favor of the vote?
I'm not sure the wording is quite right, but that's all right.
Well, hold on, that, well, how would you word it?
Well, you said no new construction of any buildings shall begin. You,
Until the
till the entire site deemed safe. But you don't know if it's safe completely until you start digging for the new building.
Well,
Right,
that's
but
why
we're
you-
talking about building
why-
construction, you have to have construction to cut the ground.
I understand that, I'm not talking about construction, I'm talking about the building itself.
Right, the motion is passed.
My point is, you might deem the site safe, but you might start digging your footers and running into something you didn't find before.
Yeah, but technically speaking, excavation
It'll work,
for
it's just a little
foundations is
funny.
not considered new construction, it is excavation.
Right, you're not gonna build the building until.
Exactly.
All right,
Okay.
motion's made, seconded, and passed.
Okay. Motion for condition 5, plans that show the prevention of further groundwater contamination.
Second,
A second.
motion, discussion.
Can we say plans that ensure the prevention of further groundwater contamination?
I don't know if you can do that. I think Cheryl's, can't insure anything else.
You can't insure that far.
May I
I
ask?
mean, all you can do is ask the applicant
Yeah,
to
because
show a
if-
plan that,
Well, our
This
plans
is what we're
designed to
doing.
prevent further groundwater
Right.
contamination.
well, yes, Jim.
Can I just ask a question on behalf of the applicant? So it's our thinking that the plans we've designed and shared with you and the tank designer is working with DES are the plans that will show that this will, that will satisfy this condition, because if
Yeah.
it's not, they won't get approved.
Right.
So is it just that these plans will satisfy this condition? Is that, okay,
I would think so.
okay.
But there is the scenario where you do some excavation and you're now disturbing soil that may be above groundwater, and then we have a heavy rain and that contaminated soil gets into the
That
groundwater.
contaminated soil will show up,
Okay,
guarantee it. I've dug too many of them.
Okay, so
All
has
right.
the wording changed on this?
No,
So this is a perfunctory in nature, I think.
all those in favor? Motion carries. Number 6B.
Thank you. Motion for condition 6. Plans for groundwater contamination monitoring shall continue until DES reports the site is safe and all drinking wells are clean for a timeline as set by DES per the petroleum fund. Should we get rid of
Yes.
Superfund?
Fund,
Okay,
correct.
Petroleum fund regulations, or 5 years, whatever is greater.
whichever.
Whichever.
So, yep, we do need to correct that. So whichever.
Second.
Made, seconded, discussion. Motion. Passes.
Condition 7, motion for condition 7, proof of state approval of the well water and septic system.
Seconded.
That is the water well.
Yes.
Sorry, did I misread that?
No, you wrote it, right. It says well water, but the water well and septic system. And we're referring to the water well on the site, right?
That's
Yeah,
correct.
okay.
So we'll change that
That,
to
just change the words around.
proof of, I'll reread it. I'll withdraw the original motion, I'll make it again.
They have,
Condition 7, motion, proof of state approval of the well water, water well and septic system.
Second.
One more time.
Yeah,
Discussion.
tell me what.
I mean, that's standard permit anyway, so we
Correct.
just want it on file. Vote. All those, yep, pass.
Okay. Motion for condition 8, all permits, state, federal, local, shall be in place before any construction begins.
Second.
Can we change that to read all permits and approvals?
What approvals are you looking for?
Well, whatever applicable approvals may come down the line from the state, for example, from
That
DES.
they're
DOT or
informed of
DES
the permit?
may issue an approval rather than a permit. Is that
Right.
No. Not on this, I don't think they do that, Jim.
I mean, I think if you want to use both terms, I think that's fine.
Permit / approval?
Yeah.
Correct.
So 8 is to read as follows, all permits / approvals, state, federal, local, shall be in place before any construction begins.
Second.
Motion, well, thank you. 9,
Motion for condition 9, no salt to be used for snow and ice removal.
second,
Any particular reason, no salt up there, we did it down there because of the brook.
no, they haven't in their plans,
They haven't in plans, all right.
right, Mark?
Yes.
It's in their plans already.
That's fine. I'm just curious, because I do know in the past, when we were near the brook and stuff.
Right.
I missed it in the plan for some reason.
Any other
Second.
discussion?
That's second.
All those in favor? Motion carries.
Motion for condition 10, all construction shall be materially of the latest design.
Second.
Shall be,
Should that read as on plans or materially designed or not?
thanks, Jim. I appreciate it. I'll throw that
Well,
on the
they
floor
are up
now.
to date now. I'm just reinforcing it.
Second.
Discussion?
Unless somebody wants to change it.
No,
I just wonder if we need to add
Yes,
to it or not.
no, I'm voting yes.
All those in favor? Motion carries.
Motion for condition 11, sorry, Mr. Jim, did I interrupt you?
No.
Motion for condition 11, all local, state, and federal regulations are followed,
To be followed.
to be followed, correct.
Second.
Yeah, shall, that's
Shall be
right,
followed.
shall be
Shall be
followed.
followed.
Right, thank you.
Discussion. Vote. Motion carries.
And motion for condition 12, site shall be developed as per site plans approved by this board.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, you're gonna have to read number 13.
Can I suggest the following wording, Connie? Any spill requiring notification of DES per DES rules shall
Go
result.
slower.
Pardon?
Go slower?
Any spill requiring notification of DES, comma, per DES rules, comma, shall result in evacuation of the oil-water separator system.
Read it again, please.
You want it cleaned twice a year? Or as.
Or shall, in any case, be cleaned twice a year?
No, yearly or twice a year.
It'll carry when it needs to be empty.
I like to talk about
Yeah,
that.
what do you think?
Well, second.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I actually wonder if we ought to add to that, it was brought up earlier. Whatever the board recommended for checking with us annual whatnot. I wonder if we ought to include the twice a year checking with that, with what you wrote.
No, he said twice a year cleaned.
Clean. Or if.
Did you add the twice a year mandatory besides the spill?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or shall in any case be cleaned twice yearly.
Okay, I missed that, thank
Yeah,
you.
Yeah.
That was my
Let's
thought,
say every
too.
6 months instead of twice a year.
Yeah, every 6 months, yes, yeah. Will I read it again?
Yes.
Okay. Any spill requiring notification of DES, comma, per DES rules, comma, shall result in evacuation of the oil-water separator system and shall be cleaned in any case every 6 months.
And that was seconded, yes.
Okay, may I?
Yeah.
I just need some clarification for the specifications. So, the specific gravity discriminating alarm or sensor
Right.
isn't required.
No, it's required.
It's required, yeah. You've written that into your specs, right?
You wrote that?
Yeah.
You wrote that into here, Mark.
Right, but that was for a larger volume than 5 gallons. 5 gallons over the surface of this oil separator tank.
But you might have a cumulative total over several weeks or months that adds up to many more than 5 gallons, which triggers your alarm.
Okay.
This is correct.
So the settings that I suggested last month are
What were your setting
What were your
last
settings
month?
suggested?
Okay. Fuel level exceeding 5 inches.
Yes.
Would be 200 gallons.
Yeah.
We've already approved that comment as our approval of the motion on the actual plan, so.
You can change that then to
What I'm talking about is response to a spill, any individual spill that amounts to sufficient quantity to require notification of DES, rather than a cumulative
Right.
over
Okay.
time of a gallon here, half a gallon there, until it adds up to 200.
Okay.
Then your alarm goes off and you go in and clean it out.
Okay.
So-
Yeah, the alarm is still necessary because you
The
could
alarm's
have
still-
one spill that could create
That's
200
right.
gallons.
You may never have a spill that calls for DES notification, but you may still get your 200 gallons there over, 8, 10 months or whatever.
Outstanding. So both are in place.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Okay.
All right.
make a,
Laura, could you read that back?
Want me to try again, Laura?
Read it again, Bob.
Okay, here we go again. Any spill requiring notification of DES, comma, per DES rules, comma, shall result in evacuation of the oil-water separator system and shall be cleaned in any case every 6 months.
or semi-annually,
Mm.
6 months is fine,
not 6 months, but every semi-annually, which is.
That's every 6 months.
Yeah, that's-
Which is every 6 months. So
Every 6 months is fine.
that was,
You could reduce 3 words to 1 by saying semi-annual.
Okay.
Semi-annually. All right. I'm happy.
you have that.
Wow, are you serious?
I'm not.
Can I just make an observation on that point? If it is evacuated to the DES rules, then it could be 6 months from that point, so semi-annually.
No. If there is a spill that requires, hey, we've just had a spill because it exceeds the limits that require us to call you, DES then comes out and looks at it. All of that activity then would automatically require the whole big holding tank to be evacuated.
And then couldn't it be, if nothing happens, then it could be 6 months from that point in time before they have to evacuate again?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor? Motion carries.
Have you closed public comment? I'm just wondering, I have one more question to ask. Is
Well,
it closed?
Well, we never
We
close
have
public
already-
comment, do we?
It hasn't been considered yet, or at least I haven't heard it be considered. If perchance, there were trucks that wanted to park there at night and be idling and cause noise, has there been any provision for,
that is up to the owner.
up to the owner?
Yes,
But would that
ma'am,
not,
that's private property. It is owned by someone. The town has a noise ordinance. If that's not followed,
it would go to selectmen?
call the police department, they shut it down. But that is the owner's responsibility, same as if you had a party at your home. It would be your responsibility to shut it down at the correct time, all right? The only other comment I have, Jim, is the site plan package you've given us, number one, has no signature blocks. Number two, I would like to see this page dispersed through your whole plan, so that I don't have to sit there and say, well, let's see, where is that? Oh, that's over here, you know what I mean?
I'm sorry.
Mark did it, I know Mark did it to try to,
Yeah.
but
What do you want? I guess Mark is the is the engineer of record, if you could help him
I'd like to
understand
see
what.
this. Your notes, Mark,
Mhm.
on the page that it corresponds to.
Okay.
Because for us to go through it,
Okay.
you know what I mean?
I have an idea what you mean. This is a,
You know, just like you've got it on that page there. And if you had it, you know, each one of these,
It'll be very fine print.
yes. It would.
it wouldn't be that fine a print.
It's useful to have it in one big page, but I think it's also useful to have it repeated on the relevant pages.
That's redundant.
If you'd like it both ways,
Yeah,
Can I make a
Okay.
suggestion?
that's a,
yes,
Why not do a cover page?
yeah, like that.
That would
Like
allow-
this?
No. Have that as like page 2, but have a
Oh,
cover
I-
page
no, I
for your
understand.
signatures and stuff.
The other way you could do it, Mark, would be your site plan, say site plan review criteria, and put down what sheet it's on.
Fantastic.
That's even
That
better.
would be,
Yeah.
then we wouldn't have to look,
Yep.
you know what I mean?
This is a construction-ready plan set.
Yeah,
I recognized several months ago that to prepare a plan set just for this board would be redundant when it came time for
Right.
construction.
right.
But that can be done. Each blog will have a reference as to what sheet
I would appreciate
it can
that.
go to.
While we're being technical, Mark, you're missing a north arrow on sheet 2.
No way.
So they put this on there instead.
Give the man a cigar.
Planning board approval block is on the site plan. Would you like that on each and every sheet? You got it?
Yeah. On your cover sheet too, you gotta put it.
Yep.
Otherwise,
And sheet 5.
Tim's on a roll.
What I do.
any other conditions which this board would like to impose.
Pretty close.
I think we've covered everything. Or I tried to when I did it.
Tony, can I ask, before we actually vote on the overall approval, if you would mind allowing each member, if they wish, to make a comment, in other words, to poll the board on their views of this project? Would you
I
mind
think
doing
I think we've expressed our
Well,
that?
views
Well,
time
just to
and
summarize our individual views, for the
I
record,
think,
briefly.
I think we work as a board.
that's right.
I don't think we work as individuals.
We're not
We
working as
leave individual
individuals.
opinions behind. I think we should be a board that's under board rules.
Your vote kind of gives your individual view anyways.
We've all,
Not necessarily.
we've all expressed our opinions in our comments the last 6 months. And I think that we've done a wonderful job. I think that White Mountain Survey has done everything that we've asked them to.
Extra too.
I believe that the way things are set up, that the public might not be happy because it's there, but we can't do anything about that as far as being there. So I would make a motion that we give the conditional approval.
I second.
Any discussion on it?
Just one thing I'd like to say. It saddens me to see how disrespectful this board can be sometimes to the public. We're supposed to be here to serve you, and you're absolutely right what you said before. There's no excuse for it. I know that people put a lot of time in on this, a lot of work, and people get frustrated. But that's no excuse. I want to go on record here tonight. I believe that we have a member of this board that needs to be dealt with in some way.
I think I asked you to wait on that.
And I would like to apologize to the public for some of the actions. I don't think it was right, and I understand some of the frustration, but it's still not right.
I agree.
I agree.
As do I.
I think if you knew the other guy's side of the story, you might disagree. The man has.
I don't care what his side of the story is.
All right,
No, no, let's not argue it.
we're not gonna argue about this.
I think it's
You
uncalled
asked
for.
for a vote, didn't you, Sonny?
I asked for a vote for
The
conditional.
comment had nothing to do with the
There's a
vote.
motion on the floor.
Well, the comment had nothing to do with the
And
motion.
it was made and seconded, I believe.
Yep,
Was it
I
Laura?
seconded it.
All right. All those in favor of conditional approval with the stipulations, motions that we've made? Motion carries.
All those opposed or abstaining?
Okay. Opposed?
I abstain.
Oh,
I abstain.
Why do you abstain?
Well, if we'd had a chance to discuss this going around, I'd be happy to explain it, but since you've invited me, I
no.
will.
I
I
you
think,
say if you feel that you have to abstain,
I do. But I don't want it, I don't want my abstention to be misinterpreted. I think the engineering firm has done a remarkable job of creating probably the safest gasoline station in this state. Certainly one of them. And I have no qualms about saying that. I also happen to believe that it is a very bad idea to put a gas station on top of, a new gas station on top of the aquifer. And I'm deeply disappointed that the ZBA put us in this position and approved this in the first place, but there's nothing we can do about it. I think they've done, Jim Rhines and company and Mark have done an excellent job and really would be commended for their cooperation with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming.
case 17-4. Jim. Jim.
Me, Jim. Ron? Oh, he's right there. I thought he walked out.
No, I didn't do it. I didn't see him at his vote. I thought he already bolted through the door. And I understand why, because I think he has his medication a lot of fuel.
I do, but
I understand the other side of it as well. That's why I decided.
Hands with that.
30 days.
Excuse me?
Anyone wishing to appeal, the 30 days starts tomorrow.
I do.
Thank you, Pete.
Yes, Corey, I know.
Like you said, it's all in the best interest of the town. And that's my position on anything here.
If there was something that was going to bring substance to the town, maybe take a risk, but not bring it.
Yeah, Ralph.
I did my own thinking, but unfortunately I wasn't able to.
Wake up, Ralph.
find it.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
You need 5-minute break.
That's our personal problem, we don't care. We scared the heck out of him.
Yeah, he doesn't need to go anymore.
Sure.
You just saw an hour and 45 minutes go by, or almost 2 hours, and he's worried it's gonna take 2 hours for his now.
And Con, before we adjourn this meeting, I think that we should have a discussion about what Dennis brought up before.
I think we should let it drop for now. You don't know the other side.
Roy, who the hell gives a shit what you think? Seriously, don't tell me what to think. You understand me, buddy? Because if you think you're the only Neanderthal in this room, I'll show you how to live
about
with
it
it.
privately.
Can we-
Get off your fucking horse.
Can we take this
Come on.
outside of the public purview, please?
Yes.
No.
No, you can't.
this, this board represents the town, and we should not be acting in this manner. We were elected to represent the town, and we should be not
We are
acting in this
trying
manner.
to, Tim, now be quiet, please. Yes, Laura. Oh. Do we have a notice of a FEMA meeting? I don't know what I did with that.
No, actually, Connie, that's now under the selectmen's purview. It's no longer going to be there. It's going to be with the selectmen on Monday.
No.
Oh, that's one. Okay, I thought you were talking about this
Flood,
one.
flood plan
Okay.
administrator. July 12th, at 10 to 12, here in the Freight House.
We're talking about the other one.
And if you want to go, you got to call RSVP to Jennifer Gilbert at New Hampshire. Gov.gov.
Should have a copy.
You should have a
I
copy
have a
of it.
copy.
I'm not sure what they're referencing.
No, this is open to anyone, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Anybody in the
what it is.
public here
Yeah,
tonight
that's it.
wants to go
Mm,
to
something,
that?
yeah, there it is. The workshop.
Well, workshop.
You gonna go? Just kidding. I'm sure you've already been many times, right?
This is a site plan. Ralph Buchanan, Karen Buchanan self-service storage. Tax map 124, lot 10. Located at 851 Route 16, Ossipee, requesting to amend his original site plan to add 4 new storage buildings to the existing public self-storage buildings. The
This is the original plan that was approved.
Wait a minute, Ralph.
No, thank you.
We have to
You already have it?
look over the application.
I did not get one.
Make sure that it's complete.
Or maybe it was, oh,
No, that's it.
maybe it's on
Very
there.
good.
I think it's in the
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, okay, yeah, sorry.
No? I just got this today, so.
Make a motion that the application is complete.
Second.
All those in favor?
Discussion?
Oh, discussion on the application.
Yeah, on the checklist, it's a small item, but item 4, it says not applicable, fire department approval, including fire lane and turning radius. Why shouldn't we have fire department approval to make sure there's sufficient room for maneuvering fire trucks in that area? I mean, he doesn't have to have it now, but it's something that we should have before approving the plan, I should think. You see what I'm looking at?
Yeah, I saw that too. I wondered why that was.
That's the fifth item down?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, 5th item down, under item 4, other required approvals. I think it is applicable, and it should have the fire chief take a look
Ralph,
at it.
have you talked to Adam about this?
We did back at the original application in 2004.
This is different.
I'm sorry?
This is different, right? These are.
Well, no, they're actually the exact, these buildings that I'm proposing are exactly the same. This is the plan that was approved in 2004.
All right.
The only difference is that I'm eliminating these 4 large buildings which were going to be boat storage. But boat storage, there was a new one down the street.
A lot of competition.
I'm over 39 by a couple of years, and I figure that I won't live long enough to build all of these. So anyway, I've reduced it to
4 regular household storage buildings. Originally, again, they didn't seem to have any problem with all this, only because I have 2 entrances and exits, and there's a pretty big space in between these. And I've had the buildings there since 1988, and we've never had a fire.
Okay.
I mean, not that you couldn't have a fire, but the buildings are all metal. The only thing that could possibly burn is what's inside the units.
I think it's probably not a bad idea to have the fire chief come out. This is, that was 2004, so we're now 13 years later, and just take a look at it. And I will note this is, yeah, I'm happy with this, just to be on the safe side. Won't cost you anything. You'll get one.
Well, then you make a motion to that effect, to accept the application with a letter from the fire chief or the fire chief.
Yeah.
Are you taking your motion back?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, then I will make a motion that we accept.
Then I'll have to take my motion back.
Okay, second. Okay, thank you. Move that we accept this application as complete, providing the fire chief is invited to inspect the plan, look at the plan, and gives his approval.
No, it has to be conditional.
Yes, as a condition. Conditional approval, yes.
Conditional approval of the application
Thank you.
with a letter from the fire chief. I mean, he's gonna,
So moved.
but just, it's more or less for our record. Okay.
If there is a fire.
Motion has been made, it's been
I'll
a
second that.
Roy seconded, all those in favor? Motion carries. You may continue, Ralph. Anyway, okay, so this was the original plan that was approved in 2004, and I had proposed to build all of these buildings. I actually only built this one. This building here in 2005, and then the economy went into a recession, and I never built any more. And now the economy has come back around, and we actually have a waiting list for people for storage units. And so I'm proposing to build these, this one, this one, this one, and this one, which is 4 additional buildings. Basically, 1 a year for the next 4 years or 5 years. I put in 5 years because, you know.
Good number.
It's a good number.
Well, only because 2 years ago, I had something called anaplasmosis, and I was out of action for like 3 months. But anyway.
You got that from a tick.
I did. Yeah. It was funny because they didn't even know what it was. It took a long time for them to figure out what it was. But anyway, I myself and my sister and my nephew are the ones that actually erected them. And so when I finish one, I would kind of start on the next one. And I guess that's about it, excepting, again, we've never had a fire. I don't think the police has only been called once, I think.
The low crime rate.
So pay $16,000 in taxes.
Guess you'd like to pay a little more?
Yeah. You want to pay more?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, people are paying, store their stuff, and I can't complain.
That's what happened, the old farmhouses disappeared and no attics anymore.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Is this one in the back larger than these? It looks like the same
It is, yes.
180 instead of...
Well, it's 40 feet wide.
It's 80 feet wide.
I'm sorry?
That one's 80? These
No,
look like
40 feet.
The one in the back?
Yeah.
It says 80. Oh, 40 feet wide, sorry. What's the 80 and the And the 40 to 40?
Oh, it's 180 feet long.
That's what I wanted, versus 140.
Right. The
It's
other
right in
ones
the
are-
middle of those lines, so I wasn't sure there was one there. Thank you.
I mean, occasionally, not very often, but occasionally, people actually want really big ones, like 10 by 40. And so most of the time, they are either, 10 by 10s, 10 by 20s, or occasionally 10 by 30s. All the buildings are all made in kind of like 5-foot increments, and all the posts and supports and everything, so you can kind of break them up in there.
Okay.
Most of the time, it's 10-foot increments.
I have a question, Ralph. You do not have any dimensions on your property?
I don't have what?
No dimensions?
Dimensions on the property.
Outside dimensions on the property.
I see you.
They're like little long edges.
282.46.
548.
Yeah, there's dimensions on the plan.
There's only two.
1 inch is 50 feet.
209.
This is 417.
They add up.
They're here on the front.
277.
And they're there.
They're on the back and on the north side of the site.
But I don't see them on the south side.
There's 248.
The only one I don't see is that one.
You can add them up.
I mean, the property is approximately, it was 8 acres, eight something, 8.2.
That well, is that well yours? Is that the neighbor's?
I'm sorry?
The well,
The well?
yeah. You have a well right in that triad.
Oh, right, that is a neighbor's property. This building up here that's close to the road,
The old restaurant?
yeah, the old restaurant, that's their well way back there. They kept that little, they originally owned all of this property, and when they sold off all of this, they kept those little pieces to go out to their well.
And how far is your proposed buildings from that well?
I'd say approximately 100, at least 100 feet, maybe 140 feet, because these are 140. So I'd say, just about 140.
Is there any fencing around that point?
Around the well?
Well,
There's no fencing, but the well is in a hole. If you look at these little lines, the well is in a pretty big hole. It's about, the dirt all the way around it is about 7 or 8 feet. So it's almost impossible to get down in there. If you get down in there, it's hard to get back out.
well, I'm just looking to, some of the people you have drive in there are gonna go, I don't want them to go near that well.
Well, they can't drive near it. They
Right,
can possibly
that's
climb
what-
over these banks and down in this hole, but,
That's what I'm asking,
Right.
so that you have a barrier or something
yeah.
is there.
There is a natural berm over there, Ralph, on the south side of those new buildings?
Yes, yeah, if you look, if this drops down in a big hole, and then it comes up, and then it drops back down on this side. So there's a berm, I don't know, gee, must be that high, about 5 to 6 feet.
Yeah, it looks like six feet easily.
Is this an existing access road? A deeded right away?
This one over here?
Yeah,
Yes, it is, yeah.
okay. And you wanna do this over how many years?
5 years.
Lord willing, and the
You
creek
are-
don't rise.
I'm sorry?
Your,
Lord willing, and the creek don't rise.
your approval is only for 2 years. That's all we can give it.
But we could always give an extension. can we
He
not?
has to come back in and
Well,
ask.
I thought as long as you continue to work on it, that you could.
No,
Well, if he starts one building and then has an active permit for all 5, and before the permit expires, can he get an extension in permit?
Building permit's good for 1 year. I
Okay.
can extend it for a year.
Oh, but so
Change it
that's
to
the
2 years.
2-year limit,
It's
okay.
2 years.
and the approval that we give is only good for 2 years.
Right.
But you get extensions on it.
We can.
If it's a work in progress, he's gonna get an extension.
If we give him an extension after 2 years, Steve, can you still give him?
Back to the board, it'd be up to you to give them the extension.
So after
So
2
he's
years.
got 2 years, period.
No.
1 year extension.
Then if we re-extend it, you can reissue.
Then if
No,
any,
then he has to go back to the ZBA, he has to go to the ZBA and get the extension.
It's gonna be an extension, right?
is the ZBA?
I believe it's the ZBA.
Yeah, the ZBA does.
They're gonna give the extension, not me, I can't.
Just like if you replace a non-conforming mobile home, you have to go
Right.
and get it.
For example. But if he comes back to the planning board, we issue an extension to the site plan, then does that not allow you to issue a fresh building permit?
The way it's written, no.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
We'll deal with it 2 years from now, Ralph.
The planning board can't give an extension, only the ZBA is only. All right, well.
You're gonna have to hurry, Ralph.
Yeah,
No more tick bites.
My sister is a year younger than me. She has 4 grandchildren,
Well, we
and
need to
she's a
get the-
full-time grandmother, so she only works 2 days a week. But anyway, well, I'll have to work her through the winter months.
We'll have to get her out of retirement.
Put the kids to work.
Yeah, but she works 2 days a week for you, and doesn't she work for Wayne?
Well, no, that's my other sister, that's Christine. The other
Well, you're
sister-
gonna have to get Christine.
I have 5 sisters.
Yeah, I know.
I'll just have to get them all working.
Explains the gray hair.
I make a motion that we, conditionally approve the case number 17-4, SBRA, with the condition that the fire chief's letter,
We already had the motion on the floor, didn't we?
that was to accept the application.
Okay, thank you.
Now, this
I'll
is
second
approve
that.
the,
Approve the site plan.
I'll second
The
that.
approved,
I already did.
the amended site plan.
I already did.
He thirded it.
Pick one. no one-
Discussion. All those in favor? Motion carries. 30-day appeals period, Ralph, you know that.
So I gotta get a letter from,
From-
and get it to Steve?
No, you have
Oh,
to file it with us.
oh, okay.
And 2 weeks, we will give you the go from conditional to approval. All right?
You know, I kinda wish I was doing a gas station because I'm a little disappointed, nobody's interested.
No.
Oh,
no,
my.
but I was right over there.
You went there, didn't you? You went there, didn't you?
Say gas storage, you'll be here.
Ralph, FYI, they are coming in next month, next meeting for storage down the old driveway.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I heard the rumors that that.
Yeah, well, they're coming in with it. All right, just trying to let you know.
Who's going in?
They came in,
Oh, that's right.
oh, Jim came in one night
Yep,
back in March about the drive-in,
yeah, with the preliminary.
storage. That's why I'm gonna have 2 more storage and Ralph's gonna put 4 more buildings up. Town of Ossipee, town of storage.
We can sort of.
Wow, it's accomplished.
Storage, gas stations, convenience.
All business.
Nothing of any substance.
Well, you
Dollar
know,
stores.
the dump won't be very busy then, everybody will be storing their stuff. I'll take it to the dump. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Ralph.
Thanks, Ralph.
I'm safe, Ralph.
Right, left. Zoning ordinance revision to review 4.9 and 24.1.1 for changes.
Steve, do the new books ready yet?
They're coming. All I can say, I read part of it today.
Okay.
We don't have a date yet?
No.
Okay.
We have to do this non-public too, right, everybody?
But,
We have to do this non-public too.
no, this is zoning changes.
I know, but we'd have to do the non-public.
Yeah. 4.9. That's Steve. Little to do. How would you like to change this, sir?
The camper trailers,
4.9.
4.9 camper trailers. 14 consecutive days, however you want it, 20 days, 30 days, that doesn't make any difference. The problem is trying to control it, get a permit.
Permit,
What about tents?
You can't put tents on there, no.
Why not?
It's not a structure, it's not a, it's not on wheels.
Yeah, but anything that has a roof on it's considered a building. According to the,
You mean a structure?
Yeah.
Walls and a roof. Structure, I mean, that's, you can't.
You can't.
So you're saying that needs to be done by the selectmen?
What's that?
Not an ordinance, but a,
Well, this is the ordinance right
right,
here.
but you're talking about, I'm talking about tents.
Tents.
Would have to be done.
Towns have had problems with it, and it takes them a while to get them out of there. You gotta go get your lawyers involved. It's not a structure. It's
Right.
just like,
As
it's
far
just
as-
like your canopies you see out there, the green or blue canopies. They're parking the cars under.
Okay, okay,
Same thing. You can put them right up on the line. There's nothing I can do about it.
okay. So travel trailers.
Travel trailers, yeah. I guess the biggest issue is when they put them on the lot, if there's a house there, fine, you can register it, leave them on the lot. But if there's no house there, they leave them there, tree falls on it, it's gonna be there forever. That's the problem we're having, there's a lot of them in town. Pull them off. If you don't have a house there, pull them off at the end of the year.
But if you have a house there, you can live in the travel trailer?
No, you live in the trailer, the 14 days or whatever you're gonna have. If that's your residence, you can leave the trailer there, but if there's no house there,
Right, but if it's a residence and they have family or friends or something living in the trailer, they can do that, or does it have to be done by permit also?
but right now it's 14 days a year.
I understand that. My question is, if I own a house and I park a 40-foot, 30-foot camper next to it,
Yeah.
hook it up to the electric and the septic,
You can't hook it up to any utilities.
so it has to be totally mobile
Independent.
You're ready to go, registered.
and registered. But someone can stay in it for so many days, but that would have to be by permit also.
Well, 14 days a year right now, that's how it's written right now.
Right, but that's, yeah, I get it. But
Well, I guess all I'm
Yeah.
asking for is a permit. So, I'm not gonna be a police officer. If somebody comes in and we say, okay, you can stay in it for 30 days, here's your permit, it's good for consecutive 30 days, that's it.
And at the end of 30 days, you have to.
And now I know that it's gonna be vacant and closed up.
You're wrong about that. It can be hooked up to utilities.
That's interpretation. You read
No.
that.
Maybe stored or packed during periods of non-use on the premises of the owner, provided it remains mobile, is not hooked to utilities, and remains
That's right.
uninhabited.
Isn't that what
So,
you said?
what it's saying is, you can store that, but you can't hook up to them, to any utilities.
Right, he said that.
That's what I said.
That's what he said.
No, you said that it could not be hooked up to utilities while it was occupied.
If they're occupying the trailer, you cannot be hooked up to utilities.
Yes, you can.
And change the ordinance, the way it's written. You
The
cannot.
way this is written is only in storage, cannot be hooked up.
Interpretation is how you read it.
So I've got
You
a-
gotta change it.
I've got a camper, it's been parked all winter on my plant in Ossipee. It's plugged in, keeps battery charged.
During the period of non-use, I think he's right.
here's the problem. You have someone that puts one on a site, like we've been dealing with, no water, no sewer, no hookups of any kind, and they live in it for 3 years.
Right, that's where the permit comes in.
Yeah.
That's where you need a permit or some kind of control.
But
because
it's gotta
you can't-
say
you can't have that.
specifically, you can hook it up. Don't guess. That's gonna be another sign permit that we have problems with.
It's in the permit, right?
Specifically say you can hook it up for 14 or 30 days.
Okay.
It
Oh,
doesn't say
right,
that.
because this doesn't specifically say that
Doesn't say
during
anything,
those
it's all
14
hearsay.
days a year, it can be hooked up to the water and sewer. It doesn't say that.
These days, if you make an ordinance, they've already got a beat.
Right.
Somebody.
Right.
That's what we're running up against.
So they changed
Right,
use
so,
the,
so it says the town will allow occasional use recreation in parcels of land if parcels are used for not more than 14 days in calendar year. It doesn't say anything about hookup.
but you want to insert
I
language
mean,
about a permit.
what's 261:13 say?
We don't have it.
Oh, it's an RSA. You don't have it?
Give them the extra days. If they wanna stay in it longer, let them stay in it longer. But just so I know if they're there. No charge for the permit. Just let the town know and then keep it registered. Make things a lot easier.
There's no 260 in here.
Well, maybe you change it to summer months hooked up, like Memorial Day to September.
Or do we want to word it so that it only stipulates that it can be hooked up to water and sewer during those 14 days of occupancy?
Well, a lot of people like to stay in the lot the whole summer nowadays.
Yeah, yeah.
So if they're hooked.
Well,
up-
but if it doesn't say 14 consecutive, it says 14 in a calendar year, and
Yeah.
everybody shows up,
Well,
people
well,
show
my
up for
point is
7
that-
weekends.
The 14 days probably are between like Memorial Day and the end
Yeah,
of September or Labor Day.
seven
That is
weekends or
cold.
whatever, yeah, I agree.
It's gonna freeze, and if they're not hooked up,
How does this apply to
14
campground?
days unless
Correspondence.
they are, got some type of receipt that they've been pumped and cleaned. Because a lot of these guys like to leave the lot and pull the plug and let it go all over the road.
I've seen that happen.
Yeah, I've seen the results of it.
Sure.
I haven't caught them, I'd turn them in. So we can make the ordinance work both ways, a non-hookup and a hookup. And make it better for everybody, make it easier on Steve.
Give the people what they want. They want more days.
Yeah.
Oh, last week alone, already this week, 4.
My
Really,
point,
people living.
is a non-hooked up camp is only good for so many days on its own tank. So that'll probably stay the 14 days non-hookup.
Can you suggest-
Unless it's a receipt that they've been pumped, and they come down and show you a receipt and get another consecutive 14 days.
Can you suggest the specific
At
wording you want to see in the
what
ordinance,
point
Steve?
I'm trying to make, well, I'm sorry.
does it become a health hazard?
If they're hooked
And
up.
it's dealt with in some other manner? Is that, I mean,
If they go beyond the 14 days, non-hookup, it's a health hazard. If they're hooked up to electric and everything else, then they got from Memorial Day weekend to Labor Day weekend, whatever it is, then they have to disconnect and store.
Yeah.
but your hands are still tied.
I just give them what they want. If they want 30 days, give them the 30 days. I know they're there. And if I drive by, I'll see. You got the little buggy underneath. They can pull the storage out, whatever they gotta do and dump it. And they can prove to me when they get the permit.
That's my point.
But
They
other
need to prove.
than the court system, that's about all you have for something that happened across the street from me.
Yeah. And that takes months,
That's- yeah,
years.
that- Yeah.
Can you suggest the specific wording that you want to see in the ordinance? Give us a paragraph or a sentence or two?
I could work with you on it.
Yeah.
I'd like to sit down and work with Steve on that one.
I would like that, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll work together.
Well,
I'm downtown, well, I'll stop up, see if Steve will work at it in the next meeting, get the input
Yeah,
from everybody.
yeah, Roy, you brought up a good point about, like you say, keeping it hooked up through the summer, and people are coming every other weekend or something through the summer. They're not gonna keep it hooked up, like you said, through the winter because of freezing and all that.
It'd be dumb if they did, it costs money.
Well, they also, you know,
I
I mean.
had one, I forgot to drain once, it got
Yeah.
expensive. I hooked it and parked it, and I forgot to blow the pipes.
That gets expensive.
Oh, yeah, it did. It was my ex-wife, she was not happy, we were married. I had to get it repaired.
What'd you find to say?
I'm looking for 13, hang on a second. Yep. Partial exception for certain uses of recreational vehicles. Shall not apply to the occasional commercial or non-commercial use of recreational parcels of land if the parcels are used for not more than 7 days in any calendar year. However, the owner of land or the party responsible for the land shall file a statement of compliance with the governing body for the municipality in which the parcel is located, stating the method of compliance with RSA 216 16-I:4, numeral 2, within 7 days prior to the commencement of each use. Nothing in this section shall be construed to limit or modify the authority of local municipalities to enforce local regulations and ordinances relative to zoning and health and safety.
Sam, that's RSA 215?
That's 216-I:13.
1.
Colon what?
13.
13.
That's 1-13.
So, and then it references 216-I:4. Let me go back here.
Keep it out through that. So we'll go through those and see what we
This
have to
talks
use.
about disposal systems.
You go Wakefield, they're 120 days.
Yeah, okay. But with a permit.
So you need to go back.
Every town amends it, I mean, whatever you want.
No, but
Well,
what,
the
for
RSA
example,
says
has
you
it-
can.
requires a permit?
Says we can't.
You can do a permit, that's what they do, they do a permit.
That's what I'm asking. They do have a permit system now. Okay.
So
We'll
how
look-
many-
Why don't we look at Wakefield's
You
permit
guys are
language?
gonna work on this? Is that what you're saying?
The language in the ordinance.
I
that
pulled
requires
it, I have a copy of it.
Okay.
Thank you, Dennis.
Cut and paste from somebody else.
It's just a good idea, it's gonna help everybody.
Yeah.
Now, it's not gonna rain no more, because that's what we're gonna work on, a rainy day.
Yeah.
In other words, it won't get
I'm
done
drowning,
until the
the
fall.
pontoons on the skid are pretty dry.
Something that
That's right.
everybody sees every
I haven't
day.
logged since the first week of
I mean,
February.
I was just talking
Some
to
of the things
Ralph,
that
and he said
go
he's
on
been
in
in
the
the mud
planning
for
board
days.
and the ZBA,
I've been living on
don't
custom
affect
saw
people
and
directly.
cutting brush.
but when you go through your hometown.
Too old
Can you
shed,
speak up,
yeah.
Dennis?
See
Can you speak up,
junk
Dennis?
everywhere, you see property
Dennis,
being.
can you speak up so we can hear you?
Well,
I
I
can
was
hear
just
you.
saying, we've been talking about a new master plan and getting people involved. Now, many things that go on here in the planning board and the ZBA don't directly affect people, a lot of it. They don't see it, they don't see what we do. In case of, like, tonight, it does affect more and more people, so they're here.
Well, they see it now.
People look at zoning, and if, I'm getting it from them, I ask, people come to me and tell me, they're getting very upset with the zoning in this town. Because if you drive around, there are places that just, they're disgusting.
Bob's not.
And you go to the zoning officer, and his hands are tied.
Yeah.
He's not able to do anything.
That's
Exactly.
And
that's a
then
separate
it's
issue.
got people
Yeah.
upset, because they're saying, why do I have to get a building permit to put a porch on my house like I wanted to do at one time, and have to go through all these variances and stuff? And this guy can put a tent up on a piece of property with no facilities at all,
Park a trailer.
and live in there, and.
The
you
thing
know,
is, that you can't cover everything.
Right.
Well-
Till it's, a lot of them you can't cover till they come up.
Yeah, but this is what directly affects them, and they feel that it should,
Right.
and that's the problem.
And we're here for the better, good for the better of the town. I agree with the tent situation, and I agree with the permit
We
situation.
can't please everybody, though. No
Well,
matter what you do, somebody
you
will be
have
happy.
to make an effort to show them that you do care and you want to clean these messes up. Now, that's why Steve is here. He wants to have something that he can work with, even if it's just so he knows they're there. And he might be able to do it. The way it is now,
Yeah, I don't have your problem.
you know. he
But that's
needs
not gonna
us-
happen till March.
Right. But it's something for him to look forward to, that there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Next year,
You know?
Nothing to do, Steve.
All right.
I mean,
Right.
I get phone calls from friends, so I know he's getting his phone ringing off. So,
We know he's getting his phone call.
I get calls both directions.
So you guys will work something out and bring it back to the next meeting. And you can cut and paste from Wakefield if you need to.
And
Well,
you
I
keep
think,
me
I
as a-
think we both got some good ideas. I think we need to just keep it, like, you know, keep it simple, dummy, so to speak, you know, so everybody understands it. It's, gives Steve something to go with, gives everybody else something to go with, and it's fair to everybody. And it meets all the health possible hazards too, and make it clear.
All right,
Very clear, simple.
the next one.
The building permits. All contractors, general contractors, anybody working in the town as a contractor should pull a building permit. That's gonna help me protect the residents of the town. A lot of work on the town is cut short, it's not good, and it's actually dangerous, a lot of it. I can go out and I can inspect it for the people. The residents of the people, keep it the same, $2,500, the way it is, materials only. That could be up to a $12,000-$15,000 job. No permit needed, but it gives me the, I can go out and I can look at, help them out. It's right, it's wrong, it's dangerous, it's not. People that live in the town, the residents, give them what they want. Don't take it away from them.
Yeah.
Help them out. If they go to sell the properties, all the phone calls I'm getting now are insurance companies, banks, real estate agents. Yeah, we got permits on it. Yeah, they pulled their permits. Yeah, it's done right. I can honestly say that. Problem is, right now, I can't.
Yeah.
And I'm becoming an estimator. I'm driving up and down the road. Is it worth $2,500 or not? That's killing me.
Yeah.
So,
And some of these jobs, these projects out there are actually dangerous.
Retail cost is $2,500 determined by the town authority.
50-mile radius.
Determined by the town authority, zoning board officer, or building inspector.
Within a 50-mile radius.
Steve, you've got two provisions here. Homeowners of Ossipee should need a permit for inspections only at no charge. In other words, if I'm doing a do-it-myself project, I simply say, well, I've built it now, or I'm building it, would you inspect it? There's no permit required, et cetera, regardless of what it costs. Now.
There's a permit involved, but there's no
cost.
No
Now,
cost.
how do you know I haven't hired a contractor to do this after you've left?
Exactly. Exactly. A lot of the time when I come and inspect the job, I'll see the contractor on the job.
Okay.
But a lot of the times, a lot of these people are getting hurt. The contractors are leaving. They don't have a leg to stand on. They come and they ask me, I said, you've never pulled a permit.
Right.
Otherwise, those contractors are gonna come back at the town. I'm gonna say, not in this time. You're done. Simple as that.
So
You
you're saying
can't pull a permit.
any project that exceeds the $2,500, regardless of who's doing it, requires a permit?
Over the 25.
Over the 25, okay, that makes sense.
Under 2,500, all contractors get a permit.
Isn't that what it says now?
Right,
Permits
right,
required?
right. I just wanted to clarify what Steve was saying.
Residents, no, leave it the way it is.
Right.
$2,500, I think it's fair.
Mhm.
They can do a heck of a deck, or whatever they wanna do.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's not gonna, they don't, you know.
They
but
still have to go through some kind of approval process,
A
though.
permit.
Yes.
A permit.
I got you.
And it's gonna help them in the long run.
I'd go along with the contractors have a permit, the home responsible, but the homeowners under 25, I can't.
No, he's saying if it's a homeowner
That's what he
doing it,
said.
and no
So
contractor.
that I agree with. We had a discussion the other day.
Yeah,
so-
but the only problem we're gonna have, and I understand where you're coming from, Roy, a lot of people hang a level on the back of their truck and they're a contractor. But a lot of stuff they're putting up is not safe.
Yeah.
All right? It's not gonna cost you anything. I'll go over and take a look at the project with you, I'll help you out with it, go ahead and build. It's under $2,500, you don't need, you get a permit to get me over there. Now it's in the town, it's in the computer. We got taxes on it. That's one of the big issues right there. We have assessors.
Would the language change that says licensed contractor make any difference?
There
I
are
have to
no
be
licenses.
licensed in the state.
Oh, really?
Licensing.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
You have to be a licensed electrician or plumber.
Right.
Tenfold, you're trying to protect the people at the same time.
Sure, sure.
Again, we need somebody to work out with you specific wording that you'd like to see in there.
You're still allowed to do your own electrical, but you have to be licensed to do your plumbing.
Right, right,
Or gas.
right.
They
Now,
changed that.
Your electrical and your plumbing, you're absolutely right. If it's the house that you live in.
Right.
You can do your own plumbing still?
You can do your plumbing and your electrical if you're in your own house.
Right.
Not for your neighbor.
But you can't do gas because it's gotta be
No.
somebody that's
That's-
gas certified.
Yeah.
I got a licensed plumber.
Maybe what you need to do is
Certified
work
gas
with Tim on this specific wording to improve the,
It's gonna protect the residents
yeah, no,
all
we
around.
all agree.
Yeah, but I agree with what Roy says, let's keep it simple because it doesn't need to get real confusing.
All right, we'll do the kiss. Think about it for 2 weeks. We'll bring it up again next week, meeting.
Meanwhile, I'll work with Stevens on this.
Rattle around your brain.
Steve, I'll stop in and see you on this one too. Okay. Yeah, no, that's not a problem.
We'll put it off again, revised planning board rules. Notices. We have 2 hearings next week. The first one we'll discuss is 91A. The other one is just a simple, less than 2,500 side. We have notices of Town of Freedom's Greg Howard. Email is concerned about site plans. Chambers, we've already taken care of. Greg Howard, I don't know whether you guys wanna run over it quickly.
Which one is that, Tommy? The last one you
Greg
mentioned?
Howard,
Okay.
several questions regarding site plan review, roadside commercial.
No. Oh, there it is.
First question is what triggers the need for site plan review? That's easily answered. Any new construction for commercial purposes or multifamily dwellings? And a change of use in existing commercial structures. Second one is yes. Three is none.
Anyone?
This is all in reference to the ice cream.
This is, this is in reference to West Ossipee.
Yeah, what's the ice cream?
Actually, it's in reference to Longo's property where they sell ice cream.
I'm not sure, which side is that?
West Ossipee.
Next to Subway.
On the
All
left.
those trailers on the left there.
I'll refrain from commenting.
Been selling ice cream there for years.
Yeah.
The end of this week, they'll start selling seafood there, once or twice a week for so many months. He's a fisherman out of Maine.
Where,
He's got a
Longo's?
peddler's and a hawker's license,
He's got all that coming.
and he's got the food license from the state. Nothing we can do, Steve.
I know that.
Okay. All right.
Are they gonna, let me ask a question, Steve, are they gonna pull into the parking lot for this fish, or is it gonna be right out
Yeah,
front
I
with the
believe
rest of
it's
the?
gonna be to the other side of the ice cream place that he's setting up over there.
Yeah,
He called me this morning and said, yeah, he talked to John Lungo. He's gonna be in there at the end of the week, once or twice a week, just selling his seafood.
we'll be seeing people stopping on.
They'll be pulling right in.
You got plenty of room.
Oh, I didn't. Sorry, Laura.
Steve, I got a technical question for you. I know in Ossipee zoning, it says you cannot store on site more than one unregistered vehicle. Are semi-trailers considered a vehicle?
No.
Okay.
Sound of an engine.
Okay. I just wanted to find out how the wording was.
That would be too easy.
Trailer.
Well.
It's a trailer.
Yeah,
It's not self-propelled.
right, right.
Connie, this Chalmers Hardenberg, did you address that?
I called.
Right, but I called Joe, I spoke to,
Jeez, no, it's not.
Oh,
this,
hey,
can I talk to her? Thanks.
sorry.
This Chalmers Hardenberg that's under the notices, questioning about the old depot and Rhymes Propane. I spoke with John Rhymes today. They have absolutely no plans to do anything at this time at that site. They just purchased it, that's all.
And the answer to the
Got it by no
query
name.
is we've received no application.
Pardon me?
We've received no application. from this
But
one.
people have questioned, if you read your thing, there was a question
Mhm, yep.
from Ms. Hardenberg.
Just the
And he
front
called me
page,
also today, so I called John Rhymes
Mhm,
myself,
mhm, that's all.
and that's the answer to that question.
Okay. Because we can discuss the rest of it. Okay. All right, we don't have to go into 91, as long as we do not. Says confidential on it, we do not discuss that. We can discuss the suit. And I'm not in favor of it. It seems to me that the town of Freedom has everything in their favor. And there's nothing in Northgate or,
But Northgate has agreed, right?
we don't know. Do you see their signature on there? I do not. I am not in favor of saying we agree with it or not agree with it without Northgate.
And I really have a question about, it says, can I read out of there?
It says, in this what's bothering me, whereas Freedom, Northgate, and Ossipee desire to resolve the issues. We haven't agreed to anything.
I'm looking trash tonight.
Connie, where are you reading that from? Just so I,
Second page.
I'm sorry.
First page,
Second page.
no, first page.
Well, first page is the
I got you,
report
I got you,
document.
yep.
And then if you go on to page 2, almost all the way down through paragraph 2, it says, Freedom shall make such soils inspections and analysis at its own expense. I have a question about the validity of that on Ossipee soil by another town.
It's not even legal.
I have a question about
Yeah,
it. And
but
then
It's not
on
Ossipee
page
soil,
3,
it's Northgate soil, that's the problem.
pardon?
It's not Ossipee soil, it's
But it's
Northgate
a
soil.
town, I
No.
understand that, but it's,
It's Ossipee, town of Ossipee.
right. And we're still in
And yet the
suit.
town of Freedom is trying to tell us that we can't build on our own soils.
I think we ought to have the town attorney look at that one,
Right,
because that's
exactly.
definitely, none of us are
Well, the town
well versed
attorney
in
has looked at it,
legalese.
thinks it's all a good idea.
Yeah, well, we don't, and there are disagreements. And then if you look on the next page, at the very bottom, it says with prejudice. So that means it can come back. It's not without prejudice.
I think the town of Ossipee needs a new lawyer anyways.
Beside the point. So those were a couple of my questions on there, and I'd like that clarified.
And it's telling us on number 5, which specifies that the community, in this case, possibly, shall. Well, who's gonna pay for it?
I don't see it.
Who's gonna inspect it?
But they're actually writing our rules, and I'm not sure
No,
that I
these-
agree with that.
They're simply stating what's already in our ordinance here. Ossipee shall, enforce this piece of our ordinance, that's what it's saying.
Ossipee shall, but Freedom will not tell us we shall.
No, it's not, it's the court.
No, this is
No,
not
this
the
is
court,
freedom.
this is freedom.
Yeah, but this refers to 44 CFR Part 60.3 C14, which specifies that the community shall. That the community shall, regardless of whether it says in this case Ossipee or not. He's just referencing that particular section.
That is not even our section.
No,
44 CFR has nothing to do with the town of Ossabee's rules and regulations that we apply.
okay.
Well, yeah, it's the Code of Federal Regulations, it's a federal rule, but I have no idea what 44 CFR
Wow.
60 says.
So we're just gonna sit there and say,
No, we gotta have,
Oh,
we gotta have the attorney look at that one too.
Well, and I want more, and if I don't get an answer from him, I mean, and we have a second attorney, I think, that we use also. I'm definitely not comfortable with this as it's written, at all. And as a selectman, I wouldn't sign it either. It has not been brought before the full board, but I'm not comfortable with this document.
No, okay, we do have the town council saying, it seems reasonable to me, I recommend this.
I guess the way I read this is that Northgate and Freedom have worked out some kind of a compromise here, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But they're also applying it to the town.
Okay, now, as far as Northgate, they're saying they're not opposed to Freedom doing the soil test.
no, they are.
Now, wait a minute, to satisfy them, okay? Now, that's private property. They can have anybody come in and do a soil test. Town doesn't have anything to say with that,
That's true.
right? That's private property.
Northgate
If that's
is,
part of the settlement, I
So-
think we should go along with it.
Well, so if they find something in the soils that
Then
we've,
that's
that we've already,
Northgate's problem.
that we've already approved, they can come back to us, because this says with prejudice.
Well, I suppose if they were to find something, they'd put a stop to it.
They can't.
What do you mean they can't? DES?
No, she's talking about Freedom. DES is an entirely different. Freedom can come in and say, we found this soil, you can't build on it. What's Northgate gonna do? Because DES says, yes, you can put the Presley on there.
This is a document that's written by Freedom and presented to the court.
I thought it was something that their
They
board
worked,
worked
they
out.
Freedom presented it to Northgate, from what I understand, is that correct?
I don't know.
I believe.
Says
it.
Freedom,
Yeah, don't read the front.
Oh, this says that,
First of all, if you look at the signatures, only the town of Freedom has signed it, Northgate is not. So-
Correct.
okay, I'm just saying, if Northgate approves this.
Well, they've not.
Well, how do we know that?
Well, I'm just saying, we will find out.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't think we should do anything until we,
It's not something that
until
we
we
should
see a
vote on
response.
tonight.
Right,
No.
until we see a response from Northgate.
They're okay with it, we should decide.
I think that we should invite Northgate to the next meeting and sit down and discuss it with them.
I agree.
I want,
If they like this agreement, they can sell it to us.
I make that a motion.
I'll make a motion that we invite
He already
Northgate.
made the motion.
I made it.
You already made it?
He made the motion.
I made the motion
Oh, I'll
that we
second.
invite Northgate
If she has
to the
that.
next meeting to discuss the settlement quote unquote. Any discussion on it, please?
I guess I have a question.
Yes.
Will that be a confidential meeting, or be open to the public? I mean,
We're just gonna discuss what's public. This letter's not
The
public.
first
but
page,
The
Dennis,
first page is
first
not public.
page on that is
Right.
attorney.
right,
The rest of it is a public because the selectmen have signed it in Freedom.
okay,
So it's an open,
okay,
It's
so,
out- it's in the
Where
public.
does,
Public
where does,
record.
let me ask one other question. Where does this leave the suit with Freedom suing Ossipee? It doesn't say anything about the suit being dismissed, does it?
Yeah, it does.
Say
That's what the phrase is that you're contesting deals with.
no, they just agree to the agreement.
The way I'm reading it.
Freedom shall non-suit with prejudice its pending appeals and shall take no further appeal or actions with
In
respect
other
to
words, they
this.
would withdraw from the suit.
Right.
With exception of reserving the right to seek relief to enforce the settlement.
Yep.
And the appeal is with Northgate, isn't it? Is it with Northgate? It's not with town, is it? What's this appeal? Which appeal are they talking about?
I don't know, but we're,
Right.
There's several.
Yeah, that's what it's not very clear.
And
The
it's-
selectmen, I'm sure, will be taking it up on Monday night.
It says
The document's
freedom.
not clear.
Freedom versus Ossipee, not Freedom versus Ossipee and Northgate.
Yeah, Town of Freedom versus us, Town of Ossipee, I see it on the front.
Okay. So we have the motion on the floor, Connie. Shall we vote on it? That we
Well,
invite, okay?
am I right, Ed, on that?
I'm still trying to figure out why we're having a conversation in public.
Because as far as we're concerned, this is a public document.
But
You
legal
keep
comment,
referencing you should not mention the front page. The
That-
Front page is attorney,
The front page
client.
has nothing to do with,
I just, you have to be aware that when you bring a document into a public meeting, I don't care if you're saying don't read it at all. Technically, I could request that front cover. You shouldn't be discussing this in public. Now, you mentioned something being signed. This was signed between the Town of Ossipee Selectmen and the Freedom Selectmen?
no,
it's
just the Freedom
Just
Select.
Freedom Selectmen.
Is this case still open?
Yes.
Yeah.
This should not be discussed in public. I don't know what you're doing.
I agree.
I think it's public, but because once the selectmen read it, once the selectmen in Freedom signed it, it becomes a public record.
Did they sign it in public or did they sign it in non-public?
Well,
They most likely signed it in non-public.
It's not notarized, so we don't know.
we
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
We don't know.
I'm just warning you that whenever you bring something into a public forum and you don't remove yourself and go into non-public, it's public, including your notes and records and anything else that's on the desk.
I think before we do anything, we ought to let the town attorney review the whole thing and respond, not just to his initial.
And Connie, to your point,
Whoa.
and Connie, to your point, just because they signed it, doesn't mean that we've accepted it, so.
No, I'm not
that
saying we
means-
did.
That means the case is still open, and it doesn't mean that it's necessarily public.
It hasn't come before the selectmen. This is the first I've seen.
Okay, so.
And because, if I may, and because it's a legal matter, on Monday, you're gonna go into non-public to discuss this. You're not gonna do this in public. This is why this shouldn't be happening.
Well, there's still a motion on the floor.
I think we should hold everything until the selectmen have had time to look at this.
I agree.
You could.
Withdraw the motion and let it go to the selectmen.
We can always bring this up at another meeting.
Well, you have to withdraw your second first.
I just did. Withdraw the second.
I withdraw the motion.
It's never happened.
Oh, it's happened.
I do.
We'll erase that.
I do, before we adjourn, I have something that I'd like to say to the board.
Peter, should we do this in a closed session?
No, you can't.
No, it's just very brief.
Because you can't discuss a member of the board in non-public.
Oh, no, I have nothing to do with the member of the board, it has to do with my conduct. I'd like to, just 30 seconds? I wrote it out here as Ralph was giving his presentation. First, I'd like to apologize to the board members, the secretary, and members of the public for my outburst earlier with Mr. Barron. When I chose to run for this position, I told myself that I was going to put my personal views aside and try to the best of my ability to execute the duties of my office with the best interest of the town and its residents in mind. It is not for any person of this board, elected or otherwise, to use this forum as a platform to hash out personal grievances with the public. And that's where I want to leave it. And after the meeting, I will speak with you, sir.
That's fine.
Thank you very much.
That was my point I made to you earlier, is that we need to make our decisions as a board, not personal opinions.
Mhm.
We need to leave personal opinions outside the door. We need to construct this as a board.
Absolutely right, but we all nevertheless do have personal views that reflect how we vote and what we think about a
I
particular
don't have
subject.
personal views. I don't have personal views that reflect how I vote. I vote like as the law and the rules and the regulations tell me. That's why I'm on this board, and that's why I was elected as a selectman.
Your personal views, when you go through that door, come in through that door, go out that door. There are no personal views here.
Well,
There is town.
we're using the term personal views in different ways. My personal views reflect what I think is in the best interest of the town. My personal views of the best interest of the town may differ from yours or yours and yours. That's all I'm saying.
No, you
But you
brought up,
can't use the term, my
Sam.
personal views, sorry.
Yeah, maybe you want to use the term in your professional
Greg,
opinion.
I have the floor.
I'm sorry, Connie.
I'm getting a little sick of this. Everybody jumps on everybody else.
Nobody was jumping.
Mr. Gillette, you have expressed your personal opinion more than once over the town. The better of the town. I will say that right now. And that's all I'm gonna say. Now, if you wish to, Tim, you may say something.
Well, I was just saying that instead of using the term personal opinion, maybe we use the term professional opinion, because as board members, we are technically considered professionals in this town and should so act.
If you were gonna call yourself a professional, sir, I wanna know what field it is. And if it's nothing to do with this town's business, then don't call yourself a professional. A professional is a person who has the education and can testify to that effect.
Fair enough.
We are all people, voters of this town,
Right.
who were elected to do the best they could for this town without a personal opinion.
Agreed.
And if this board, if someone on this board cannot comply with that, then I ask their resignation, and we will appoint somebody that can.
Not resigning, but may I?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Just texted my wife. She told me that I am a professional, but I can't read what she says.
I know what
Can we leave it at that?
I know what she's saying.
When I took the oath of office as selectman, I swore to uphold the rules, the regulations, the laws of this town, this county, and this state.
Right.
My personal opinion, I don't care whether I like Joe or Jane or Jim that comes in here with their project. I have to set all of that aside, and I have to follow what's in front of me and the rules.
No,
I can't let me finish, please. I can't interject my personal opinions, and there are things that I don't like, but I set it aside. I listen, I look at what has to be done, and by the rules and regulations, as Connie said, that's what the oath of office stands for.
You don't have to tell me that, I know that, and I agree with you completely. However, we sometimes disagree with each other on particular merits of a project or on facts, etc. We do have disagreements, which are healthy, by and large, healthy disagreements.
I agree.
Those reflect our personal views in that sense.
They should reflect a view.
Not
that
some personal
it's not-
agenda, but we all have our different perspectives
But
on issues, that's all.
If I may, though, I believe that diversity helps us reflect the views of the entire town.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's
Yeah,
all I'm
so
saying, we do have different
despite-
points of view.
You know,
And that's why
Roy's
we have
extremely
disagreements.
conservative, I'm conservative,
Who knows
I'm
if
not
you
sure
don't
where
know
you
what I-
go, but you know, you know, you respect the view of your block. your
My
constituency.
aim is everybody gets treated the same, period.
So we have
I
no
agree.
disagreement on that point
Thank you.
whatsoever, so let's not, you know.
I don't wanna take this guy down here
Why
and
don't
give
we
him an
adjourn,
approval,
by the way?
and this guy up here, you can have that approval if you do a whole bunch of more things than he did. That ain't fair.
Can I move that we adjourn? We've had quite a long evening here.
Oh, Sam, so you got something else to bring up?
No, I don't.
You're not gonna bring that
I'll
up?
make the second then.
All those
Not
in
until the meeting
favor?
on Monday.
Unless someone else says.
No, please, let's go home.
Oh,
It's good.
motion
We're
carried.
adjourned?
Goodbye.
Did we vote?
I think so, I voted, unless I resign. It's possible I did vote. I'm up.